From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, and we are here for another live edition of the show. We're a show about Star Wars, we're a show about pop culture, and a show about the ultimate adventure of life itself. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and I have some rum.
Oh, buddy, it's been that kind of week. I went heavier, and I hope that's okay.
Yeah, please. What do you got? Was it like white wine?
No, yeah, that maybe. I don't know how to say it correctly. Nika coffee grain whiskey. This was a birthday gift from Matt Key, and this was great. He came to a little gathering I had, and you were out of town, so Sarah came and had a great time. I hope, I trust. And it was a no gifts thing, right? It was a hey. Matt Key shows up. He hands me this whiskey, pulls me aside, and whispers, and he says, "Do not share this with anybody."
Well,
so I'm happy.
That's a really nice sentiment from Matt, but I mean, not really going along with the themes of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Isolate yourself. Drink this alone. That's
Drink
not
it alone.
That's not
no one else deserves it.
Yeah, I've only now had this on live streams. This is this Rocket Queen cocktail kind of I don't. It's legitimate, you know. It's got warnings on it and government stamps and whatnot. But it's it's one of those cans that's like wrapped in paper because it's such a small indie place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cinnamon and rum and it's quite tasty.
Cinnamon and rum. Mm-hmm. Look at you. That's amazing. I love that.
Mm-hmm. What a fancy lad.
We're fancy lads. We're fancy lads indeed. Thanks for joining us here today, every day. I'm see the whiskey's already hidden.
That's right.
You got Jay from nowhere. Our buddy Sean Room is here. Rick Villanueva is here as well. Rich T, Amaranth, David McKay, my buddy David McKay. Ken's doubting straight ethanol. You ain't wrong, Channel 19. You ain't wrong, David.
And then, I was trying rum and Coke standing by. Cheers, chaps. I was trying to hit another one, but that's a great one. Hello, guys. Natalie here is getting Natalie's like great with all the discussion of what you're drinking. However, let's get to it. How will the Bad Batch end? Omega rides the Zilbeast, right? I hope she does, and I hope Star Wars puts out a non-alcoholic drink to commemorate called Riding the Zilbeast, and then you can have a picture of Omega on the can. And it'll come together.
Oh, I love that. Ride the lightning, ride the Zilbeast. We're going to have some questions today. We are going to talk about the end here real soon. We've got some cool items to show off. There's a lot going on. We should acknowledge, you've probably just seen our faces and our names. Jennifer Landa is wanted to be here, tried to be here. Life has kind of gotten in the way this week, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and other times it's just life. So she sends her regards. She cannot be on the live stream here today.
Yeah, sadly. But who knows what she might be having to drink. Maybe some water, some blue milk. Who knows? We'll have to find out later.
Yeah, some rum and blue milk? I don't
know. Shots of blue milk, says Rick of Villanueva. That is right. Yeah.
There we go. We already got some questions coming in. Yeah, you're good. Look at this.
Yeah.
Hit us.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Dude, no, two questions.
I cut you off. I was so excited to see questions in already.
We actually we planned more things for this live stream than we normally do, and by that I mean two. We planned to talk about the end of Bad Batch, and we planned to share some of our Gentle Giant toys, but we didn't really talk about which we're going to do first, or if we're going to do all of the Bad Batch or all of the Gentle Giant in a row, or if we're going to spread them out. What are you feeling, Ken?
I think we should build up the anticipation a little bit longer for Bad Batch. I think bottom of the hour. I feel like a radio guy. Sports and weather on the 5s. Bottom of the hour, we start looking at Bad Batch. That way you all can get some questions in. And then maybe we take some lighter fare, and then we go into our Gentle Giant collections. What do you? That's my vote. What do you got?
I think that sounds great. I think your radio history is once again paying off for us. We got some great comments here. Andrew McNabb says, Wrecker is a Gentle Giant.
That's not untrue. It's not a lot.
And I hope the Zilbeast is a non-Gentle Giant there.
That's right.
Great observation here from Jay from Nowhere. Twin sons make a hangover even worse. Indeed.
It's been a while since I've been that hungover where the weather or just nature affects it. But I've been there. I've been there where you're like, damn, the sun is just, I'm shriveling up. I try not to be that spot anymore.
Yep. Yep. It's been a while for me. The sun is normally a welcome friend when I'm a little dehydrated.
Yeah. 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 And Dan at the Food My Beard says, Ken is not beating the allegations of being quote to radio, which is a carryover from my live stream this morning on Anytime, where I admitted that I actually muted and blocked someone from my life when they accused me of being quote to radio at the Scum and Villainy Cantina. It's a fair criticism, but I wasn't having it.
But is it a criticism?
I don't think, again, the sports and weather, I get that. I don't like morning radio either. But, like, it was just like, my response was, you mean because I kind of know how to host a broadcast? Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean?
If the criticism was you lean into the parody of a radio type, which would be the insincerity, right?
Yep.
And I don't even think it is insincerity. When you have like a DJ who's like, "Hey, how's everybody doing?" and then cranks a noisemaker, that's not even insincerity. That's style. That's a style. Yes. That's a choice. And to me, as a performer, and I'm sure some people could accuse me of being too variety show oriented in structure and tone. There's a huge difference between playing to 15 people and playing to 500 people. You still try to be honest. You still try to be yourself.
Yeah.
But seeing stand up do a tight 5 for 15 people versus an hour-long show for 500 screaming fans is different. And
it's different. You're making me laugh. I want to come back to that variety thing, but I couldn't get there fast enough. I was gonna do that would be annoying. That would be like, what'd you say, Joseph? That's too radio. That's too radio.
No, it's not. I want to do an episode of ForceCenter like that. With all the Star Wars noises.
But I'm sorry, folks, we're bantering because we're also catching up as pals. I absolutely love the observation that you might be, I won't say to variety show, but you have a variety show bent, because that is a particular skill set. It's not, variety shows have a bad stink from the 70s. Mm-hmm. That's not what you're doing. I think that's very right. And your games, I've been to your live shows. It's a skill set. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
And we both like to present up to a point, but also keep it honest. So all that said, I can't remember what you said from your radio perspective you thought we should do and in what order.
Is there a sillier, non-Bad Batch related question? We got some great stuff. I want to shout out for Super Chat coming in from Brian Tiller, lead singer of the Moon Agers. Thanks. Cheers. Go ForceCenter. I love that. Go ForceCenter.
Woo! Yes, thank you for the super chats. They are not necessary, as we always say, but they do help us a lot as we try to grow things.
Yeah. What if one day I just said they are? What if just one day I said, they are? No. No.
What is can you do like a 1 cent super chat, or is that just a chat?
Is that a chat? Yeah. So if you guys got a question, we'll get there. I'll answer one quick sports question because it's going to come up again. I very much enjoy that the Miami Dolphins, my favorite football team, picked Penn State edge rusher Pork Chop Robinson yesterday. It's his long-held, lifelong nickname, Chop Robinson. I'm excited to have him on the team.
Amazing. Chop Robinson absolutely sounds like a G.I. Joe character, so it's fascinating to know it's Pork Chop Robinson.
Pork Chop Robinson. Love that indeed.
Share this analysis from Jay from Nowhere. And then we will move on. Sounds a lot, going back to the radio thing. Sounds a lot like you're good at a thing I don't much care for, and I cannot separate you as a person from the thing I don't much care for. Therefore, you suck. And I think the reason I'm probably hung up on this old story is it does remind me of the way that we all as a society choose or choose not to talk about analyzing art and pop culture. And sometimes the answer is that was not a bad movie. It was just a horror movie, and you don't like horror movies. Yeah. And those are two different valid conversations and perspectives.
Love that. Well, we got one. All right. This is not. It's a Bad Batch related thing, Joseph. This is great. This is great for you here. Jamie Burrow says, for the finale, will either of you have a specific setup, whether with figures or any other items? I generally don't. The question is it cereal or an English muffin? And I don't know. It's a game time decision because I watch it in the morning. But I might try to stay up for this one because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be spoiled, or I want to feel the community. You though, this is a very important question for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I really like the ritual of watching it at midnight if I can, and it's fascinating that it's changed. I think I think partially with uh, Disney Plus having been around for a while now, and the midnight
Mhm.
drops having been around for a while. But then I also think the absolute fragmentation of social media has changed it. But it used to be like, you tune in. You turn on Mando and stream it, but at
Mhm.
11:59, people are putting out posts about who all's
Mhm.
watching, and everybody's and yeah, I used to enjoy really uh, taking pictures of my setup, and
Mhm.
it was a nice feeling to know like this isn't just about sharing that. This is
Mhm.
for me. I want to
Yeah.
feel like I'm celebrating it and watching it with my friends. So I don't have as much Bad Batch merch because I'm an action figure guy and a 3 3/4 guy, and the only 3 3/4 of the main crew is Hunter. So I have
Mhm.
Hunter, and then I just broke down. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed a tech in my life, so I got the Black Series tech, and I unboxed him, put him out, and took a photo of him and shared it on the episode where he died.
Right.
And people responded to me like, "Did you know? How did you know?" So for the last
Right.
several weeks, Tech and Hunter have been with me. They have been rotated, so they are watching the screen with me, waiting to
Mm.
see if there is any sort of Tech 2.0. So I'll probably make a nice drink with maybe a Millennium Falcon ice cube. I don't
Mhm.
think the Millennium Falcon's going to show up, but just in case. And definitely Tech and Hunter watching with me.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. No, this is looking forward to it. And you're speaking of something too that I think I will always remember. And maybe it doesn't feel in our soul.
Sorry.
Joseph's. It's a king's
They,
pork cow.
yeah.
Uh, but it's not as I don't know, as visceral as sitting in the theater for Phantom Menace in 1999 or waiting in line for Vengeance Death. But that first night of Mandalorian was something pretty special.
Mm, yeah.
And it had a lot to do with the community of social media, which you're right is so fractured, but also texts. I remember texting like Alex Backus and Steve Ellis and Alex Damon of just like, do you get it? Do you got it? Is it on your feed? No, it's on my Apple, but it's not on my Roku. It's on, and just the excitement of what was going to come with Star Wars on TV for the first time. That was a great feeling.
It was amazing. It was
Mm.
absolutely amazing. I didn't mean to click that. I keep missing ones, but that's a great question, and I'm starring it.
Yeah.
But the Sabersmith says my Funko Tech got delivered on the day he died. My heart. What is this techspiracy? Oh
There's a
no.
lot of that. Like I was building the Razor Crest Lego set the week it went. You had just backed the project, I think, the week it went or around that time, right? It's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that whole
Mhm.
I love it. I'm lucky to have it. It was, I was enjoying Mando so much, but yeah, then the Razor Crest gets destroyed. Then I'm like trying to clear space. Then I see a picture of John Favreau, who is a tall,
Yeah,
broad-shouldered human being, and I saw
right.
it that ship filling his hands, and I was like, "Oh no, this
Yeah.
ship is too large for a one-bedroom apartment."
It is indeed.
Yeah,
Too much tragedy around all the merch, says Michael McCarcel. That's possibly
yeah.
true. Mm.
And this is a good one to see. Julian Mushkin. I have Black Series Echo, Wrecker, and Omega. I don't usually, but perhaps for the finale, I have them watch with me. Yeah, let's have a toy
Yeah.
watch party.
Yeah, post the pictures, especially if you're the Force Center Discord. Do that. That's fun. I love that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's just something there's something about routine and the comfort and the experience of it all. I love it.
Yeah,
I
and
love it. It's good.
sharing it. Yeah.
All right, I'm looking for another sillier question, and then not just you know what I mean. Okay. This we're also taking other center questions as we always do.
Yeah,
So we got
absolutely.
two. We got a quick one here from Jay from Nowhere. Question: hot or iced coffee? You're a coffee drinker, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I am as well. I have to cheap out on the answer. It's seasonal for me.
Oh, that's
Like at home, hot all the time.
yeah.
We go to a couple spots here, some great local independent coffee shops in Burbank, and man, yeah, if it's hot out, I'm icing it up, baby.
just like all radio show hosts. Ugh. Seasonal coffee drinking radio show hosts.
Seasonal coffee
They're all
drinkers.
the same. Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't have anything against iced coffee, and I think I've had it in the afternoon, so I guess I'm not seasonal, but temporal. I've only ever had iced coffee in the afternoon. For me, coffee is maybe it's probably the association with like a super cold Minnesota winter morning. To me, a morning drink is a warm drink, even when it's hot out. I missed the sitcom chat that you and Jennifer had, but one of my favorite jokes coming from a Minnesota where it can be extremely cold and extremely warm in the seasons. There's a bit on Cheers with Cliff and Diane where Cliff is going on and on about how it actually, with BS science, about how it actually makes sense to drink cold beer in the winter. And then Diane's like, well, what do you drink in the summer? Like, beer. What's your problem?
I'm going to do a big rewatch on that show. Well, yeah, Jen and I did talk about it. Yeah, and 8984M says cold brew in 90-degree weather. I will say this, to get into the weeds on it. A cold brew is not, I don't love cold brews. I'll get an iced coffee, which mostly is an iced latte. And Grace will, if she was free, would come in here and yell into the microphone and camera. I drink it so fast. I drink the hot coffee fast too, but if I got it, I'm doing the annoying by the 2 minutes. It's like it's candy. It's liquid candy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad's a coffee fiend, and when I was home in Minneapolis, it was just sort of like the smell was in the air always, and he counts coffee by the number of pots, so it was a challenging, shaky time for me.
Challenging, shaky time. Then all right, so that's a good answer. I have one more. I'm gonna follow up kind of quickly. I just kind of lost. I lost it. Oh, here it is.
I believe
and then we can maybe we can review John Jad. But this is great. So this was on I have my live show, The Blathering Live. Do it weekly on my own YouTube channel. And Lauren Romo had a great question, a friend of the show, Lauren Romo. But I gotta ask you. Here's a question for Joseph, as I asked Ken this already. What is the most random algorithm YouTube or Instagram got you into by a search? And I'm so curious because I know putting together your short films or something, or just any of your projects, you might need to search something that messes things up that you wouldn't normally do.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the algorithm has largely figured me out. So it shows me action figures constantly, which is real good. And it shows me screenings of classic films in Hollywood.
Of announcements of where to get them.
Yeah, I'm going to a screening of War of the Worlds. That's a double feature with this obscure stop motion animation puppet show that the director of War of the Worlds made. But the weird one with the film, and anybody who's seen The Nightmare Adorable will know about this. But it's perfectly understandable if you haven't. So the main character, played by our friend Amy Vorpal, is kind of gothy. So I was Googling for like cheap goth shirts, and I came across this great shirt that she wears in the show. It's just a kind of a basic blouse, but it has these colors that are like bat wings. Real cool. That's the only shirt on that website. The rest is all like, do you love darkness and you like lingerie to express it? It's all bat and spider themed lingerie. Like, where's all the different places we could put a bat or a vampire shape on a brassiere? And I saw the website once. I bought one GD shirt, and for months, all it showed me was goth underwear, to the point where I was like, my wife and I always show each other things on our phones, like, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? And I was like, hey, I have to tell you, I have not been doing anything weird. I bought one shirt, and half of Facebook is bat bras, just so you know.
God bless you. Love it. Love it. That's a better answer than mine. Mine was all, you do one weird search for an ASMR, haircut video. Next thing you know, you got ear cleaning videos. You got Indian street barbers, which is a fascinating subculture. And then Japanese ear cleaning video. It gets places fast, and you're like, I just wanted to watch a weird guy cutting hair. That's all I wanted to do. I needed to relax. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, should we do this?
Yeah, let's dive in. We got a lot of great questions.
And you want to do these? Want to present here?
Yeah, let's present. Do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Make sure I don't knock anything over. All right. So, as always, we have some friends over at Gentle Giant and Diamond Select Toys, and they're always generous in sending some stuff over, and we want to take a closer look at them. We did some videos maybe about a year ago. You and I did some reviews of some of their stuff, but I was able to get my greasy little hands on the Star Wars, the Clone Wars Darth Maul milestone statue. It's a website exclusive, so you can go to their website and check it out. I'm going to be careful. I might knock him off here. It's the size is always the thing I love the most of these. The detail is there. Darth Maul's face is there, but this is like as I transition out of buying Funkos and figures on a regular basis, and that's not always by choice; it's by circumstance. This is the kind of stuff you want to put on the shelf, have it take up some space, and have people point at and go, "Wow, this is a wow item." From the detailed floor, everything. I can even.
Is that fire?
It's fire. Yeah, it's and then this pairs nicely. It sounds like Amaranth says that Maul is giving great face. Greta Garbo, she gives great face. It pairs. Oh gosh, sorry. I sound like I'm a food critic. I sound like Dan at the Food in My Beard. It pairs with this Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah.
So this milestone's Ahsoka completes the collection. But I don't have space for that right now.
Yeah. That Maul is great because I love seeing characters that have existed in lots of different media represented realistically, right? In Maul's appearances in the animated Clone Wars, I never really registered too much the fact that he's like, you know what? I'm loose and free and shirtless. My horns and my eyes and my pecs are all intimidating you. But when you put him in realistic gear there, he really looks like he's gonna be doing like a car wash in the valley to raise money. Like he's showing off. He's showing what he's got.
He is. He's ready to fight. And it's one of those things, remember at one point everyone realized that Emperor Palpatine's throne room chair is purple. Like, I don't know when but like, it wasn't like you knew that in 83 right away. It just was like, you saw a promo shot and it went around the internet a little while ago.
Is?
It's like, it's purple. Yeah, it's purple. Did you just learn? Yeah. And we didn't grow up with that. That wasn't a playground discussion. He's got a purple chair. It wasn't. I never really paid attention that Maul's got brown pants in this Clone Wars Season 7.
Now that I did, because I always like, is that a hint that there's maybe just a little bit, there's a little bit of good in him. Yeah. He has brown pants. There's hope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. So I appreciate this and the detail, the sculpt, all that wonderful figure terms that I don't have a handle on that you or Ken Plume might is there. And the great Maul face. Look at that.
Yeah,
Maul
he
face.
Is giving good Maul face. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can see the detail there on the side, on the pauldrons and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at those textured pauldrons. Nice textured pauldrons, Maul.
Texture.
Man, I'm still thinking about the purple. See, that makes sense because purple and yellow are complementary colors. So it's to really make those yellow eyes pop. I'm sure that's why he chose it to be purple.
There you go. So that is. Oh, and also I'll show off this. Haven't opened this up yet, but we got they also released this Ahsoka. This is more of the Ahsoka TV series. It's kind of they do a good job. It is like nondescript Rosario animation. Like you could maybe hear Ashley Eckstein's voice in this, but it's still Rosario. They've done a great job of that mind meld of a design, similar to like Han Solo. Now at some point you have to kind of have is it Ehrenreich or is it Ford? Which one?
Yep, somewhere in there. Yeah, and the Alec Ewan dance. David Taylor says Maul looks like he could be at Studio 54 in the 70s. Indeed, he does.
Yeah.
So leaving it there. All right. Shall I share my Gentle Giant? Okay.
You got a great one.
The real excitement of this is not just seeing these statues, Ken, but the tension, the drama. Can we share them without knocking over our drinks into our technical equipment and having fires and explosions?
A little worried about my space. This is the reveal.
I'll just say this about this gentle giant guy. He's worth a lot to me.
Oh yeah, that came out nicely. Look at those steps.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull back. Yeah, so this is the
Yeah.
picture of him. Look at that. So, I mean, this is just is anybody who's listened a lot knows like Empire is just incredibly formative to me, including the aesthetic. So I love the blue and the orange and the glowy and the Bespin stairs. And I always liked Boba Fett, but my brother kind of claimed him when we were kids, and I've kind of had to come around to like I can like Boba Fett. He can be my guy. And I love the book of Boba Fett, which has just made me more kind of invested in the character as well. The character that crosses all of the eras of Star Wars. So that's real cool. The other thing that I'm really loving about this, Ken, we're poking fun at all. This is far more action-packed than ever actually becomes in the carbon freezing room at Bespin.
Yeah.
Maybe this is, when he's walking with Han, but this is very much carbon freezing stairs. He's moving so fast. He's got a little swish going there. Look at that Boba back. He's got a swish going.
Boba's got back. Yeah.
So I kind of feel like everybody left the carbon freezing chamber after testing Han. Even Vader stepped out for a moment.
Right.
And Boba did like a quick photo shoot for his new business cards.
Hey, quick, someone take a photo.
You want the best? Hire Boba. Like, well, could you not just stand around? Could you move a little bit? Could you get a little swish in that half cape? Yeah.
It's great. I know what you mean about the aesthetic. Like it really, you feel it like it really captures what's going on there in that final scene.
He's got the little needles in his shoes. That's so great, and clearly you can see my beloved knee rockets. He could be ready to shoot one of those. Yeah, maybe that's why he's swishing forward, because he's gonna.
Yeah, and this was a Premier Collection statue. It was a 2022 San Diego exclusive, so it is on their website there. Yeah, you're right. I didn't. Because I remember I told you, I said, hey, you're going to want to get your hands on this when we got the package. I think this is you. I didn't realize it is an action-packed shot, because now I'm seeing two angles on the website. He's ready to go.
It took me a moment because I was too busy handling my Boba to piece together what Rick Villanueva was saying. Who shot Boba in the Codpiece? Yeah, that to me doesn't even look like blaster damage. That looks like, that maybe he ran into Jedi. This, you know what? I think this is the work of Quinlan Voss in the Dark Times. I think Quinlan Voss threw a giant boulder into Boba's business. A boulder in Boba's business would be a Quinlan Voss.
Love that. That, you know what? You've just touched upon the next series. This is going to happen in the next series. We're going to reveal it. We're going to reveal it in the next series. Love that indeed. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's a good side. I mean, look at that. Next year head, much like this Darth Maul, it's taking up our heads. It's head size.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, the thing about the lightsabered characters is they take up even more space. So Boba's got a nice thin profile. So maybe I'll use him as a bookend to help prop up some books on a display.
Yeah. Maul has it almost extends below the floor there.
Yeah.
It's great though. There you go. Those are
Jay from Nowhere says to make sure that particular piece of armor does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
I got this from my father.
This codpiece was a family heirloom.
Yeah. Check out the chain code in this codpiece.
Love it indeed. We also got two more items, and those are in the possession of Jennifer Landa. And you would guess, yes, they are Ewoks. So stay tuned this weekend on our shorts and reels on Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe or follow. Jennifer will be unboxing those. They're great videos. She's so good at that. And it was perfect. And the joy is palpable. It's real.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I wanted to share one other thing that nobody gave to me. I bought it with a Target gift card my dad gave me. So I had forgot that this was a Target exclusive, and I found it when I was in Minneapolis this past weekend. It is the Phantom Menace collection of
Oh, yeah.
retro-inspired figures. So I was like, I was kind of on the fence about whether I was going to pick it up. And when I saw it in the store, I decided I must have it. I'm so
Yeah.
excited for the Phantom Menace release, for all the positivity around the film after all these years. So I just wanted to celebrate. We got an Obi-Wan, a Qui-Gon with soft goods cloak. They do the thing where the hilts of the lightsabers don't have separate colors. So even
Mm,
the middle of Darth Maul's lightsaber is is red.
is red. Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
But part of the
amazing.
reason I wanted to share this is I get real cocky with my ability to buy toys and then get them home in whatever suitcase I've brought. And you've been with me, Ken, when I've run
Yeah.
into problems and needed to beg for assistance.
Yeah. Or just you left half your clothes in the hotel. You're like, I don't need it. Don't need it.
That's actually the point of this story.
No,
I was
really?
packing at my dad's house, and it came down to I can bring home this Phantom Menace retro collection of toys, or I can leave behind some pants at my dad's house. Wasn't a hotel room, wasn't that far.
Yeah.
But it really
Okay.
was. It's come to this. I chose action figures over pants.
That's a big moment. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, really.
amazing.
And that's the moment I became an adult.
Yeah. True adult. True adult. Look, it's worth it. Pants can be replaced. It's
Mm-hmm.
a simple way to look at it.
Yep.
Oh, amazing. Well, that is some of the highlights from our friends at Gentle Giant. As always, go to gentlegiantltd.com. Gentlegiantltd.com, like gentlegiantlimited.com, and you can check out their figures. And again, always good. I still got the Grogu over here. Should bring that back up again. For those who always see it over my shoulder, still one of my favorite pieces as well. So.
Mm-hmm. My Obi-Wan that I really like is in my bedroom, but hey, it's on Alex's shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So when I watch Alex's videos, I'm also visiting the Obi-Wan Kenobi that's in my bedroom.
Right. Rick Villanueva asks, what holiday special character deserves a Gentle Giant sculpt? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, but my boy Krellman, like let's get that finally articulated liquid pouring into the top of his head. Come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's I think there's a lot of good answers, but that might be the only answer if you can just get one.
That's the one I'll be begging Gentle Giant for if they ever do it.
Indeed. All right, I think we're ready to do it. Ready to do some bad batching?
Yeah, let's bad batch it up.
Oh, I've got some great questions.
We got a bunch here. Thank you, everyone, for all the great thoughts and questions and the super chats. So,
yeah. I'm going to save this one for later. This is a great. I don't have the answer, but 894M has a great question about aesthetic in Y2K.
yeah, we can get to that one.
Yeah. All right. Where are you feeling? Where you want to go?
Well, I just want to share this one because it's a kind super chat and want to make sure that we acknowledge it from Scott McCrate, who just says, appreciate the great reviews of the Bad Batch. Bravo. It's been one of the most fun shows to discuss. I think on many levels for me, Ken. I think we both really, really liked it in the first season and then fell deeply, deeply in love with it in the second season. And then this third season has just been kind of a fun revelation that so much of it is what I expect and so much of it is a little different than I expected in a good way. So it's just been a joy to cover. And also for me, I think there is a joy in the fact that the people who pay attention to the Bad Batch in general love Bad Batch. Obviously, I know there's some criticisms, but it's not that same kind of thing where, if the general public isn't piling on with their criticisms. So
right.
I feel like I know there are some complaints out there, but it is nice to be in a bubble of Bad Batch appreciation. And that makes it even more, fun.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. And this might be, if we look back on the series here, I'm sure we will at some point on the podcast and show feed. I look back to when it launched and have to be honest about going into it with, for the first time ever, a sense of, all right, guess I got to watch it type of vibe. Not that I was, but it was like, I didn't want a Bad Batch was not the, spinoff I wanted, the Space A-Team and okay. But I'm here and I do love this stuff. So let's do it. And that first episode, I just rewatched it leading into season 3. I didn't have time to do a full rewatch, but I watched some highlighted episodes. That first episode, just the Order 66 stuff, which I know had a little controversy with it on a reimagining of the version that was told in the comics, and I get all that, and I get some of the angst over that, but I just was immediately pulled in, but even then, you're right. Season 1, it was like, what are we doing here? Where are we going? I liked it. I liked the adventures, the Moochie stuff. I was like, okay, I get it. I wasn't calling it a kids show, but I was like, okay, cool. But those last 2 episodes on Camino, the end of Camino, which broke my heart, and just they did such a good job. This show has just become one of my favorites. Season 2, I still think my favorite season of Star Wars television. Which again, you're ranking. What kind of cake do you love? They're all great, but like to me, I get a lot out of everything. But yeah, I'm with you. It's just been a joy to dig into. So thank you.
Yeah, that first season was just pure weaponized charm of just like the characters are wonderful, and I love spending time with them, and I love the tour of the Empire's boot coming down so quickly, and people being shocked by the speed of it and all these different perspectives. But then Season 2 just went, and we are not holding back. We are not pulling our punches on the horror, and it's shocking and wonderful.
Yeah, and overtly political, overtly social, social issues and everything, and also fun. Let's not forget,
damn fun.
Just
great fun to hang out with our weirdo friends.
Yeah, indeed.
Defective and effective, so great. All right, so. Yeah, go for it, Ken.
Well, we're answering this big question of how will Bad Batch end, and you mentioned this. This was their first one out. So Natalie Franchini asks, "How will the Bad Batch end? Omega rides the Zilla Beast, right?" So this is overall here. I think the Zilla Beast thing, beyond just we know it's there, we know she has a plan. I'm not saying it's going to be like Book of Boba Fett, right, or Rancor, but. I can't believe we're here, and the Zilla Beast is going to be a big factor in the show. What a crazy, wonderful Star Wars world we live in. That's where I'll start.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love it if Omega straight up rides the Zilla Beast. I agree with what I've seen other people talking about. I think that Omega will commune with the Zilla Beast in some way, or at least I have hopes for that. I'm not going to flip it over a table if it doesn't happen. But I do think that for me, it fits a lot of the threads that have been built. Omega's always had, such great empathy and such great desire to see the galaxy and to know it, and that I think has always translated into a relationship with creatures. I mean, go back to the Moochie episode. I can never remember the creature of the kind of the name of the kind of space peacock creature. Her Black Series figure comes with it. Going through to this, building this relationship with Batcher and seeing that Batcher can choose what the animal wants to be is not just a product of his, environment. And then the fact that there's this question of, is she force sensitive or not? It would be a great twist if it's just sort of a light communing, a light picking up of vibes rather than, I throw something with my mind at the critical moment or do a big force push. We have seen kind of some of those revelatory moments, and I think it would be different. It would fit her, and the Asajj episode being about, I love the idea of Asajj possibly seeing like she's not there, but she has potential. But what she'd be really good at is connecting with animals. So that's what I'm going to try to teach her to do.
I love your suggestion too, because I have found myself, and we kind of addressed a little bit on a recent episode, probably I think the last one, right? I personally found myself resistant to the idea of Omega being force sensitive in a check the box, back of the stack kind of way, in a big way. Now, the ongoing adventures of Omega, if that comes out, and I'm sure we'll talk about that with what we maybe think or want to come after this series, I'd be willing to explore it. In this series, I was like, I don't know, I just don't think I personally need that. But what you're describing is what she is. There isn't a change in her trajectory. That's been what we've been talking about. Her connection to this galaxy, her connection to those around her, her natural empathy, her natural compassion, her natural understanding of the needs of nature and her friends and connection and family. Yeah, so that would be a full-on extension where the Force theme lightly plays. But it isn't a push. It isn't a jump. It isn't a giant leap. I don't mind some of the stuff with Sabine. I don't mind some of the other reveals we've had. I think some of the great stuff in Force Awakens is the sudden burst of, oh, this is who I can be. Love that. But that would be in line with what I feel her story has been for me, what I've taken from the story.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the Zillow Beast has every totally understandable that Zillow Beast is going to lash out in rage.
Right.
And come a moment where it needs to be calmed,
Yeah, so that's how the show ends. The Zillow Beast just stamping around calmly. No.
What if that is just like the it's a 20-minute episode, and the first 2 minutes Omega releases the Zillow Beast, it eats Hemlock, and then the rest is just a picnic on Pabu.
A Pabu picnic? I could get behind that. I can get behind that. As far as the first part of that question, how will the Bad Batch end? I think we're going to break that down over the course of the next hour and a half plus here. So we'll maybe leave that one for now, unless you have an overall theme or overall answer.
I was thinking about this earlier today. I think the overall thing for me in terms of wrestling with what I thought this season might be versus what it is I thought the season might focus a little bit more largely on the clones as a whole. And I think it still has room to do that, especially if Rex shows up, Wolf, Cody, whoever else. And I think the determination that all of the clones must be saved, not just Omega. I think it is still an end to the clone story. But looking back on this season, it has been laser focused on Omega, on her initial captivity and the desperation to find her. And then once they've got her back, the only mission the batch has been on this entire season is Omega, because then they're just trying to figure out, what is M count? We need to get ahead of this. We need to understand why they want her. So I'm really expecting, especially if the episode is shorter, if it's not a 70-minute blockbuster, but if it is a 25-minute episode, I'm expecting to kind of let go of some of the bigger picture stuff and have it be laser focused on the fate and the heart and the growth of this young woman, Omega.
Yeah. And I really know what you're saying too about the expectations this season, and I'm we even discussed last week just in terms of maybe the format of the episode too. But it's like it is narrow focused. It is the big stuff's hanging all over it. But I'm definitely going into this finale not worried about some of the little details. Not that I'm not wondering about what happens to Project Necromancer and how much that is directly connected to anything that Moff Gideon was done or that Moff Gideon kind of took for his own or that kind of stuff. But I just that ain't the core of this right now.
Yeah,
and I'm fine with it overall. But I want people to realize I want to know how does Rex retire? Why does he retire? Why he Wolf and Gregor? Do they come back here? Do they at the end of this episode they go, we're kind of done with this fight. We're gonna go. It's not gonna happen. But it's like, I have those questions, but it's not here. I don't think it's here.
Give me a Lord of the Rings ending or a Rebels. I mean, Rebels is like that too. Give me. I'd be more than happy with that. Jay from Nowhere says, anyone else here M count to the tune of bop?
Count. Count. Natalie adds, well, I am now. I want to acknowledge this one related to a conversation we just had earlier because I don't want it to pass, Joseph. Steve Nort says, embarrassingly, it took me several years of enjoying Star Wars to realize that C-3PO has a silver leg in the original trilogy. Steve, you're not alone. I don't think I knew that till college. I don't think I knew that till I saw it mentioned. And then obviously it's there and you cannot unsee it. So don't feel bad. No embarrassment. We all
No, we all did. It took me a long time before I saw the stormtrooper hitting their head on the door.
100%.
And when I've been working on short films and there's some little thing in the corner that's not right, not even as bad as a stormtrooper hitting their head, I think like, how many dozens of times did you watch Star Wars before you saw that? And then once you see it, boy, do you see it.
Yeah. And Jay for Nowhere also says, hey, look, Silver did not read on graded VHS tapes. That's not true. In fact, I think I got it more from a Topps trading card than I did anything else.
I think I kind of knew, but I think that was from staring at picture books all the time, not from getting to see the film that often.
Love that stuff there. All right. Anything for you? Do you want? Should we look up right now the reported runtime, or do we just going to leave that to drops? Because I've seen some things that led me to think one direction, and then today I got a text from going, no, I've heard something else, so I don't know what is true. I could research it while we're talking, or should we just leave it?
I vote for leaving it because
I'm with you.
How about this? I watched this morning. I watched maybe there's breaking news sense, but I watched Alex's thoughts on this most recent episode.
Heard it.
And I don't think there's been anything official, right? If StarWars.com put something out, we would all know, right?
Yeah.
And if they do while we're broadcasting, great. But I think I have got to the point where I don't want to be distracted, so I just look at the time before I watch. And on this final episode, I bet people are real different on that. I'm just going to look at the time because I want to know, like, am I strapping in for a 70-minute thing? If it's 24 minutes, I feel like this is going to be the story of this little family, and it's going to be real laser focused on Omega, and and maybe even more possibility for a spinoff. But if it's 70 minutes, then I'll be like, okay, well, what's the scope of things we're looking at? How much quality time do we get to spend with each member of the batch? Because I mean, that's the thing. For me, like, I know everything I want to know about Project Necromancer for now in the context of this. Like, I'd love to know more, but I don't need to know anymore. What I want, if I saw it, if it's 24 minutes, I'll just be a little bit bummed because, like, I want to spend quality time with Wrecker. I want to spend time with Hunter, with all of them,
Yeah. Yeah. And I like I said, I after our recording last week, I looked it up and was like, okay. And then just today, I got something that was a complete opposite direction. So I don't know. And the only thing for me, I felt it on this last episode more than anything. When I saw the runtime, no problems with it. I think they did it well. Good job with the story, handled it well. I was nervous all the way through of just like almost I felt like stressed. Like, are they running out of time? Are they gonna get it all in? Like, and so that if that's a me thing, it affects my brain. So I'm now gonna you convince. I'm gonna leave it be, and I'll just tune in on Disney.
David Taylor says, I just want to go in blind without seeing the runtime listed. Just hit play. I think that is probably the most pure, but I have to deal with my own anxieties. 8984M says, after the Obi-Wan Kenobi final episode runtime speculation, I'm not getting my hopes up. LOL. I've had forgot about that. And you're right. It was like, yeah. Yeah.
All right. We're off and running here.
One more thing here. Amaranth says, especially if everyone is going to die, we need a good goodbye. Like, for each additional 10 minutes, I'll expect another beloved character to pass away.
Yep. Yeah.
Love
that.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we got here, Ken.
Hit me with your best shot.
Okay, how about this one from Sean Arum? Thank you for the kind super chat. Sean says, not sure about y'all, but I'm feeling a bit nostalgic about the end of Bad Batch. What uniquely Bad Batch themes, characters, etc. will you miss the most? I feel like I've been processing this for a while because it's tech that I'm missing the most. But Ken, where do you go with this? With Bad Batch has been really fascinating because I think it has tackled a lot of classic, great Star Wars themes, but from a different angle, from a different perspective. So you're feeling them differently.
I think the thing I'll miss more, because you're right, some of the themes are just, part of Star Wars' core tenets, but I will miss the vibe. I will miss that fun thing. And this season hasn't been as fun, and I mean that in a good way, where we got some stuff we got to work, we got to handle, and the comedy, the vibes are always there, even this past week. I mean, hell, Rampart's been funny the last week or two. Like, it's there. But especially season 2, for a show that was handling politics and the discussion about politics and how this does matter and the why does matter. Heavy things that are present in Star Wars before, very present in Andor, but the show still had this not light vibe, but fun. It was connection. It was a vibe, man. Like, it was good. It felt especially once every episode got up and running. And we just became connected to this crew, man. That's why concerns about Gonki, concerns about Batcher, even wondering Nalisay, who I think has committed some sins before the eyes of the lords, has some things to maybe answer for. But I feel for her. Like, I feel for what's going on. Again, Camino, to sit there and kind of get emotional over the end of Camino, the destruction of Camino, as someone
Mhm.
who had a different relationship, who actually always did like the design of Camino, even when I was a little bit more grumpy about things. That's just that stuff has hit me in a way that other shows haven't, but in a different. Every show stands on its own. I want to be clear about that. But this one had a vibe that I'd love, and then some of those big things, and that I can point to this show and be like, hey, that thing in the real world matters, right? And I've tracked the change. That's why the Crosshair thing, the change of Crosshair, the realistic redemption, Emery, it's not happening overnight, and not that it happens in Star Wars like that all the time, or does, happen overnight. There's always things at play, but this show has dealt with it in a way that's so real that I've really pulled it out and applied it to my real life and applied it to actual relationships. This show has been with me when I separated from a real close friend, and now it's ending with me and that friend trying to reconnect.
Yeah.
And I look to this show on how to work through that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's very specific, but I think it is also powerful that this show is one of many shows, but for Star Wars in particular, that has kind of started during still lockdown days, and transitioned into a time of change. I think I think those are the two big things that kind of thematically is just the joy of the characters. So much about Star Wars is about family or found family or a different kind of family, and the clones are this kind of unique family. They're brothers and sisters, but it's a different kind of brother and sister because of this weird relationship of being clones. In a lot of Star Wars is about family ultimately, but some of that is all from the sort of very operatic, heightened Skywalker saga, where we don't actually get to see, like, there's a million of those like kind of fun kids picture books of what if Anakin and Padme raised the kids, and here's a fanfic picture of fun Obi-Wan, on the beach with his, honorary niece and nephew. This show is so powerful to truly spend the quality time with the family. I think Rebels had that power as well. But Rebels had that sort of build of hope of, okay, we can make a change. We are going to make a change. We are going to make a difference. And Bad Batch has this great thing of, it is a fun family. I'd be happy for 8 million more quote unquote filler episodes that are just like that family of charming weirdos having fun and joking around. I'd just watch them eat dinner and be happy because I love the characters and the family vibe. But then to plop that sort of almost, in a really good way, high quality sitcom family that are lovable weirdos that you like to spend time with, to plop them into one of the most horrific moments on the Star Wars timeline, where hope is dying right and left everywhere they go. And here is Omega, who is just this bright, shining glimmer of hope, and influencing people around her, and not just hope out of naivete. We're watching her grow up, and we're watching her learn hard lessons, but she's still holding on to that. Yep, this is hard, but we can do it. Let's find a way. Let's move forward. I think that combination of that, the family story of these characters, in that sense of keeping even a tiny, tiny flame of hope alive in an extremely dark time, is some of the things I've loved about Bad Batch.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people say the same thing that we've, or echo similar sentiments. Jamie Burrow says, I would never imagine that the set of episodes that opened the final season Clone Wars was introducing me to characters that would pull so strong on my heartstrings. Dang you, Star Wars. Yeah, Jamie, I'm with you. That's what I talked about. I know, Joseph, we talked on and off air about it. The Bad Batch seems like a pilot. That term backdoor pilot gets thrown around a lot, and it's definitely, comes from our generation of TV, I think, and weird things. You made a great reference to the Tortellis. Look that up if you all don't know who that is. But there was a lot of that's why I said, I really had the first time I ever felt a little bit of a chore in some of the work we do at ForceCenter. All right. And I don't know if that contributed to the success. I don't want to say in terms of expectations being low, but that I just went in, I don't know, we'll see, and then just was blown away by the love that I felt for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we go on about sort of the power of Star Wars being a tip of the iceberg sort of storytelling, where the world building in the galaxy is always so kind of fun and strange that a lot of times you meet a character and be like, I'd spend more time with them. And I do think the Bad Batch is put across as a fun A-team thing, but I love that. That to me is just so the heart of Star Wars is like the surface can look, so pulpy and silly and over the top. It's, space wizards with laser swords and, the original scoundrel Han Solo with the blatantly obvious name even before they made it canon. He was, I think I was 8 when I was like, wait, he likes to be alone and his name's Solo. Like, that's the power of Star Wars to me is it's got this surface of flash and fun and even absurdity. And then I can always find the profound that complements that. And I think the Bad Batch very quickly moved from like, the truth of an A-team like group who all have a special skill would be about recognizing the fact that they're different and how do they process that. And they played that out so well with Tech and building to that beautiful conversation with Omega where like being different is fine and it can be funny as long as it's not mean-spirited. But we all process things differently, and that's a part of existence, and it's a beautiful part of existence. And it's like, it's the profound iceberg lurking under the A-team joke, Yeah. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. And it looks beautiful, as we apologize for until you said no more. No more, sir. We shall not apologize for calling it beautiful.
Yep. It is gorgeous. And they deserve it, all the work that animation team has done over all these years. Since 2008. Yeah.
Well, from the poignant and the beautiful to a little bit of the blasters blazing. Rick asks, and thank you for the super chat, Rick. So do you guys think the Batch will keep their stun gun rule in the finale, or are they going to be blasters blazing? Going in, blasters blazing. What do you feel there?
Kind of feel blasters blazing.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling back for a comment here.
Okay.
Oh man, where'd it go? Here, Jared put something succinctly that I think we've been talking about these last few episodes. Great as the last 3 episodes were, they were focused on the extended logistics of getting the characters to Tantus, which made logical sense, but left a lot of emotional heavy lifting for the finale. Jared shared that when we were talking about runtime, and I think that's a really great way for me to think about, what do I want out of that last episode? Isn't a bunch of answers; it's a bunch of emotional closure. But the reason I also wanted to bring that up is I think the power of the last few episodes has been making everything feel incredibly desperate. And as talented as the Batch are, this whole season has been like and we all get rusty as we grow older, and it's kind of their twilight. Omega's coming into her own, and they ain't what they used to be, So there's a part of me that feels like there's such terror of saving Omega in such fear that they might not make it, that the stun setting might be turned off. But I could be wrong. I'm very excited to see what that choice is.
I have a thought there, but Crosshair, according to Nick, we only stun people. That 8984 says blasters blazing. The cavalry has arrived. I'm kind of with you. I think, especially since you want them to have the empathy and compassion for all of the creatures in this galaxy and beings in this galaxy, but they're not fighting all clones. It's like you said, there's an intensity to it all, and I could see that this is the time that they got to go. That there's a finality to this, rescuing Omega, saving clones, saving Jedi sensitive kids, which Omega's going to make them do if she hasn't already done it by the time they get there.
They ain't leaving without them kids. Yeah, they're not. They'll go back for Baron's doll. They ain't leaving without anything.
They better.
Yeah.
And Tantus itself, right? I could see that being something that they need to take down. Maybe
that's true. That's a really interesting thread that they put so much work into understanding why the Empire wants her, and now Omega does have this understanding of they're doing something here that's using me. So maybe it will be we can't leave without blowing this place up. They were just straight up shooting at the TK troopers in the last episode.
They were, yeah.
And I think that is a distinction. I think the stun thing really happened once they all started to go through all of their drama with understanding what the inhibitor chip did to them and taking them out, and understanding that how much of Crosshair's choices are the inhibitor chip versus he's just making them. And I think a lot of that stun stuff that they were doing was coming out of, are people being made to do things against their will or without making the choice? And I can also see a little bit of like, well, we know the TK troopers are volunteers, and we've been all around this galaxy, and we've seen the Empire.
Yeah.
You signed up to be a part of this, so we'll stun clones who might still be under the influence of an inhibitor chip, but TK troopers can eat a blaster bolt. Might be their attitude.
Eat a blaster bolt. I love that Natalie's got the Zilla Beast on her mind, and I really appreciate that. The Zilla Beast doesn't have a stun setting, and I'm sure we'll do some damage. Yeah. You made me think of something, too. I think you touched upon it on the last review, but I don't recall going deep into it. But I believe, and Jared's comment, I think I agree with that too. These last couple episodes have been a little bit of a different vibe. They're a part of clearly a part of a bigger thing, and it's not unusual. It's not unusual for even the Clone Wars, which had the serial vibe and all that kind of stuff. I get all that, but there's a little bit of a different parts of a bigger thing going on here, and part of that, I am at this point of, and again, I really think you touched upon it, but I remember wanting to go into it more. We've learned a lot of lessons in these 3 seasons, and we've always got lessons to do to continue to learn. But this is everything we've learned and everything who we are now is what we need to be in this moment. So we don't need as much time to sit down and have those heart-to-hearts right now, because they do have that Emery Echo scene was great. I loved it. It was really one of my favorite scenes of the show. But just you know what I mean. Like it's the time for action is now. We have become who we need to be.
Yeah, exactly. People sharing some thoughts on my going on about the Twilight of the Bad Batch here. Rick Villanueva saying, I'm also of the opinion that Crosshair didn't miss the tracker shot a few weeks ago. His aim was true, but the CK ship was out of range. I agree with that that's logistically actually what happened. Amaranth says, I do not think of them as getting older. They're still relatively young. I think of it as the challenge being much greater. The Empire is a big deal even at the beginning. I agree with that. I don't also like, I keep saying the Twilight, and I think the age thing is almost more like a sort of fairy tale mythic, one generation recedes as another generation comes into their own, the way Omega is. But I think on a practical level, I think, yes, it's that the challenges are much greater. I also feel like they've really put their finger on it with Crosshair, saying this is psychosomatic, you were tortured, but also like that cool A-team of the Clone Wars we met it early on, and even in season 1, even when they're a little shaken, they're still the troops who are better than everyone. They never faced loss. How much are Hunter and Wrecker not only up against bigger odds, but now they've experienced loss. And it's not this is another mission for the Republic where we're doing what we were born to do. We're ace soldiers. We're the best. We're perfect. How much is it affecting them that things are life and death? That's me reading into things because I don't think the show is specifically saying that. But those are the kind of things that are on my mind when I'm talking about the Twilight. I think it's different for them now. It's life or death. It's not a mission where they can just waltz in and we blew everything up and we're cool. It's we are doing this for our souls, and if we lose, we lose so deeply, badly, horribly.
Deeply, badly, horribly. That was that a song a song from the early 90s or 2000s?
Ridiculously, badly, horribly. Yeah, I think it was probably like some movie where Drew Barrymore was mean to somebody. I don't know.
Yes, it was a Sandra Bullock rom-com.
The plot doesn't allow for them to be ridiculously OP anymore. That is a great way of saying it as well.
Well said indeed. While you pick a favorite one, I got 2 comments I just favorited that kind of are related. Maybe we can talk about this for a second. Tommy Stenbrecker says, saying goodbye to the show that feels like saying goodbye to clones in general, both within the timeline of Star Wars. It is a main device for storytelling down the line. And then Cameron had this question down here. Super excited for the show, as I love the Dark Times era. I never expected to realize how much I needed, but never knew a closure to the clone story. I truly miss the clone era. There's some of that, going on in a big way. The Camino stuff that got me and everything. And I think you could still visit this. We'll talk about what we think additional storytelling might tell. But the answer you and I have talked a lot about the answer of what happened to the clones and getting into the weeds on that and making it very intimate and human, if you will. story about that transition. But there's something too of like I wonder how much. Not that you can't return Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Emperor. You could always go back to the Clone Wars era, go back to Tales of the Clones. But there definitely feels a little bit of graduation day for some of that era, if that makes sense.
I think so, because I think that we know that from a little bit we see that some like Rex and the gang retire. We know that some end up, on the streets of Dayu, begging for credits. And all that. So it would be great to see some ongoing stories where they're not a unified force in the galaxy anymore, but they go on and live their lives. Like, hey, let's see, maybe Cutler Quain is on Endor. Put it that way, or some of them live out happy lives, right? Maybe there's a commune somewhere, right? Maybe on some planet they open their. Maybe there's a clone community that gets to rise up and be part of the New Republic, when after the Battle of Endor, right?
I love that.
The clone retirement planet.
So
I want to highlight a couple of super chats where people are just sharing some great thoughts. This comes from Detective Michael McCarsell. The Bad Batch grabbed me by the heart from the beginning and didn't let go. I never would have guessed after the Clone Wars Season 7 that I'd love them as deeply as I do. Can't wait to see how this part of their story ends. Very much agreed on that, and I think it is this specific Bad Batch, but also the clones. Scrolling through here for some other ones. We got some great super chats that are about not Bad Batch, so maybe we could pivot to some larger Star Wars stuff. But hey, we'll grab this one from our friend Maddie Gunner. Thank you. Who says, would you visit Wrecker's giant beast petting zoo?
Good job, Maddie. That is 2 pounds well spent. 2 pounds well spent.
That's a big chunk of an upper crust sandwich that he shared with us. Thank you very much.
It is indeed. Absolutely. I always say this. I acknowledge some of the challenging, problematic natures of zoos. I get it. I get that. But I'm a big fan of zoos. I'm a member of the LA Zoo. And I go hang out all the time, and I hang out with my pals the meerkats. But I would absolutely go to Wrecker's Zoo, and I hope that's what happens. I hope we fade out and then fade in. I open the zoo, like it's just where crabs, space crabs, the peacock, space peacock. Give me it all. Give me it all.
I want Wrecker to have built the containment units, and I want them to look like Homer's car that he designs on The Simpsons. Just like, not a great job. This isn't a terribly safe place, but your heart is in the right place, Wrecker. I would absolutely go. Wearing armor. I would go wearing armor.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. David Taylor says Wrecker would have more of a nature preserve. That's accurate.
That's true. He would not cage them. Yes, he would let them roam free until the incidents.
Yeah. Love that. Great stuff. I want to highlight this super chat here of 894. I'm just donating to Ken's radio-ness and Joseph Variety Show-ness and getting into Star Wars Celebration Japan. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah. Here's another just general thought about the end that I agree with from Jared, who says the main Batchers have largely completed their emotional journeys, but they still must take that final decisive action to affirm their choices. That's what the finale primarily needs to do, in my opinion. I would agree with that. I think I think Hunter and Wrecker have just been solid. They know who they are and they know what they want. They haven't gone on any journey this season, so some final beat with them to confirm where they are. The question being very explicitly raised by Rampart of is Crosshair able to look beyond just caring about himself, just caring about Omega, and make a bigger choice is a big one on the table. And and then sorry, King, go ahead.
No, so that potential Crosshair choices hanging over like a gloomy shadow, but a hopeful one, maybe.
It's looming large. Yeah. And like I said on our most recent episode, I don't need CX2 to be any answer to a mystery. I don't need him to be Tech 2.0, but I also wonder, not taking that helmet off, if the identity of CX2 is something to make the rest of the Batchers look in the mirror a little bit.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. And I've had, I've been up and down, and again, the Jennifer Corbett quote of CX2 being a new character hangs over, and I know that, but I think there's wiggle room enough in that if you want to believe. But I've gone back and forth of, hey, it is a new character. It is just that, or it is cross tech. It is tech, but I'm excited to find out. I'm excited. I think we'll get that, but I'm also being cautious in case it doesn't happen.
I think so. And even if it's a reg who just has a hat, it is there to symbolize where Crosshair and even the rest of the Bad Batch were at the beginning of their journey. If that's all it is, that's fine with me. I just do kind of want a little bit of resolution since we spent a chunk of time with him.
Good chunk of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I may, it's a little bit more than what was the Ahsoka character? Mylock, Morak, Merrick.
Yeah.
Mylock, the Morak, Merrick. I don't know. Merrick. Yeah. You're right. It's been a little more than just a cool picture of a character that we're wondering about. We've felt that face that's masked.
Controversial, but I think Merrick. I think there are baddies who pop up who are coded as what I will call fett phasma, which are in the story we meet them. They're cool characters. We're not going to spend a bunch of time with them, and I feel like Merrick was like coded as like he's a cool twist, and the answer is probably Night Sister related. But that's why I feel different about CX2 because I don't feel like it's just a cool background. If they had run into if everything that CX2 did was done by 3 different CX troopers, I'd just be like, those are cool background characters. Cool.
Yeah.
But
and David Taylor points out, more Merrick coming content next week in Tales of Empire. I still think he's just going to be that's that guy. I still think it's going to be that.
Yeah.
I don't think he pulls off his mask and be like, well, I hope I never die and get taken over by a Night Sister.
I never want to be full of green gas.
Yeah. Oh, love that. All right.
What else you got?
I think I want to go back to 89A4M. The Bad Batch finale will be intense. And at one point, Dr. Hemlock will be crying, but everyone grew closer. The big lesson was learned. Everyone's lock hands and they dance to get all out. It's like, I get it. This was an answer to the question.
What will happen? Yes.
Of what will happen. But I think in here, there is the intense point. There's a lot of stress going in. There's a lot of stress, both are they going to get all the story in that they want or that we want? I get that. That's a different conversation. But yeah, I think this is going to be fast. I think that no matter the length of the episode, this is going to be fast. It's going to be true serial adventure. And I think it's going to be heartbreaking. I think it's going to be joyful. I'm excited for what they're going to do. And intense, all the emotions. Intense means not just stress and heavy breathing but just like everything's going to be felt right here.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you. I'm really with you on that one. We talked about the finale length episode. That was a great question that came in. I am. I want to grab this one from Andrew Cook. If it is not too soon, what show, if any, do you see spinning out of the Bad Batch since this show spun out of the Clone Wars? I do think that some sort of Asajj and Omega hidden path show is not out of the realm of possibility. Once again, on my table flipping metric, I won't flip a table if it doesn't happen. And we talked about this on the most recent episode, so apologies for repeating myself, but we were all throwing around the term backdoor pilot, which I personally never meant as anything negative. It felt like this is a logical growth. And if this story is this era of time with Omega, and that episode spent so much time on, like, maybe she needs to move on and explore this other part of her identity.
Right.
If this is kind of a button on the overall tale of the clones, it would make sense to me for her to go off with Asajj to explore more of her identity. I think that's also just been underlined to me as a possibility by the fact that we've been explicitly told by legitimate sources that there's more to Asajj's story. It's not in Tales of the Jedi. And also then Omega being a character of great empathy and having to free Force-sensitive children.
Yeah,
I can see just like she and Crosshair land right when they escape, and like, we got to go back right now. If she escapes with these kids, I can see her going, we gotta protect every kid in the galaxy who's like this.
What do we do now?
Yeah, we now the clones are doing okay.
Yeah.
Now the Jedi
Clones,
kids.
all right.
So I feel like for me, it
There's
doesn't feel like wild speculation. It feels like there's plenty of hints moving toward it, and if it doesn't happen, so be it.
Yeah, the massage of it all and the comments that have come out and just the direct answers, and then the reveal that, hey, Tales of the Empire, different direction. And I don't think at this point, I really did think it was going to be Tales of whatever with Asajj. I assumed it was this. And when that became clear that it wasn't, that it's Varys' story and Morgan Elsbeth's story, which I, by the way, excited for. Can't wait for that. The series or just some additional animated content. And I keep saying that because I'm hopeful. I'm not going to lie. There's rumors swirling around town, as there always is, of an animated movie. I have nothing beyond that. Don't even trust the sources. Just it's out there. And by the way, not an animated movie about this, but just that, yeah, sure, maybe they would work on that. I have this idea, and I want to be honest too, that I discussed it with our pal Ken Plume, who's sometimes in chat, of this idea of, and he had this idea too of the Bad Batch continues, but it's not named that anymore because that was their story. Now the story's bigger, or now the story's something else, and that essentially a name change could be open up the doors to now you're not worried about every episode being the Bad Batch. Now it could go to other places. You could go this direction. You wouldn't have any of those, why is this episode about this guy and everything? And we even had that. I remember there was pushback with the Ryloth episodes. There was pushback online of like, well, Bad Batch isn't even in this. That stuff happens. I don't agree with it, but it happens. And that there could be this kind of, I don't even say like a surprise announcement and footage at the end of it, but that they were like, we told this part of the story, but these characters go on to other things bigger beyond just them being a Bad Batch. If that makes sense. I'm excited to explore that possibility. Again, your table flipping metric, no tables being flipped because because I also want Star Wars animation to go to other eras. I'd love to explore some other things, but I started to get the feeling that, man, we might not be done. That my thought of everyone dies. It
does feel like there's
more story to tell.
It does feel like there is, especially if it is a shorter episode, that there's a lot of story stuff going on to be wrapped up. Yeah, I also just I want Lucasfilm to sometimes learn from things that I think have worked for Marvel, and I believe I could be wrong. I am full of rum in past time, but I believe Loki, the first season of Loki, ended, and it was clearly a cliffhanger, and then they immediately announced Loki season 2.
Right.
So, and that's very effective to just kind of let it be up in the air, let people concentrate on this, and then when the season ends and it's clearly there's more to be told. If Bad Batch ended and Omega and Mount Tanta's wrapped up, and they announced and like Bad Batch, the one-shot film is coming, great.
I'd be fine with that. Yeah. Again, I want to make sure, Claire, when I just say rumors, Joseph and I always tip our caps to. We're around town, and sometimes things pop up. I have nothing solid. I don't want anyone to get me. Don't quote me. I just like it. Just we're in that kind of era where this could work, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a series. Though I would want it to be a series. I do want to, while we're looking for our next question or wrapping up there, I got a WhatsApp from our friend Maddie Gunner who said, "How did you guys know? I'm literally an upper crust right now."
Damn it! I literally was like, because it's about around a year, I was literally just looking at pictures of upper crust I took, like the actual sandwich, just looking at it, going, "Damn, I got a salmon one. I got 2 on the train out when I had to leave London." Oh, God
bless you.
Anyway.
I thank you for a lot of things in my life, but that's one of them. People will never understand being in Joseph's hotel room on a moored yacht, and you were like, I really know you're gonna like these sandwiches. I know what you feel about food, and I know what you feel about sandwiches.
You're gonna like it. It's so good. Can't wait. Can't wait to have
Sorry,
one in my hands again.
adjusting my seat as my back goes out today. We got to feel free to dig through another one there, Joseph. Find one good. I want to highlight. Jen Dorset gave us a generous super chat. We appreciate that. But Jen also had a follow up question, so I want to not lose track of that. What do you think will happen with the kids that are force sensitive? Could have tied to Luke's school. My easy, quick answer on that is no. I don't think it's tied to Luke's school. But the question of what will happen to those force sensitive kids, because they're getting out of there, right? I don't mean that.
Oh, those kids are getting.
Those kids are getting out of there, right? It does. You know, you can't just throw those kids under the rug in the storytelling, right? I mean, the path exists now. You've established that, and people are hungry, I think, to know about what do you do? Because it's realistic. They do it. The Force didn't go away during the Empire.
Yeah.
The Force was, hidden by those in power, but it did not go away. Force sensitivity does not go away. So, Jen, to your question, I don't know what will happen, but I do want an answer.
Yeah, I mean, I would still love an animated series with Luke and younger Ben and his fully functional Jedi school, which was established in the comic book Rise of Kylo Ren, and that would be a great thing too, of like kids who were traumatized in youth, but certainly old enough to remember, like Jax, and then there's a new era, and do they want to be Jedi or do they resent it all? If and when Luke gets to the point, with a big if, of actively going around the galaxy finding force sensitive people, how does Luke was allegedly too old. How's he going to feel finding a 20-year-old who is traumatized by the Empire?
Yeah,
does he want to say, "Let me give you a chance"? Do you want to explore this part of yourself, or is he like, hey, you're in your mid-20s and you were really traumatized. This seems not great. Like, that's just a whole interesting, fascinating question in and of itself.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to join a special order where you be isolated from your friends and family and learn the ways of the Force? Oh, you mean that thing that had me hunted and taken from my family by the Empire? No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's not Kiadi Mundi coming and asking my family. It's a little different.
Two very important follow-ups here. Jen says, if the kids don't make it out, there will be riots, LOL.
Yeah.
Agreed. And speaking of riots, Andrew Cook also had, so does the We Need an Upper Crust Franchise in LA campaign start here? That's right. We do.
What's so funny is it's a chain, right? It's a sandwich shop chain. And every country's probably got their own individual ones. And there's a Subway in parts of the world that you wouldn't think there, I'm sure. I felt, once I got that first one and I was in line the next day, I felt I was, for the first time ever, experiencing the world. I felt that was like a whole new horizon has opened up for me. Long sandwiches. The Brits got it right.
Maybe I should go to London for my birthday after all. Anyway, well, that's another discussion.
Expensive 9-hour flight. I'd be there for the weekend.
Yeah. All right. We got a lot more great Bad Batch questions. But we do have some super chats that are general Star Wars. Should we tackle a couple of those?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. This comes to us from David Taylor. Thank you very much for the kind super chat. Who says, I know you have paused on covering books, but have you heard about the rise and fall of the Galactic Empire by Dr. Chris Kemshaw coming this July? Sounds like something you guys would be intrigued. I was reading about that one. I believe that's the book that is written in universe by Beaumont Ken.
Yes.
Putting all these pieces together, which I love, because that's been a fun fan discussion for decades of how many people know what about the Empire and the Sith connection, and that I think more modern canon, made it pretty clear that, like, well, people knew that Darth Vader marched around with a lightsaber, and he was well known, obviously, for it to be a political issue for Leia to be his daughter. But yeah, I think that, like, I think the much derided, somehow Palpatine return line is partially because, like, I don't know, and Beaumont Ken's like, yeah, it was a wizard. I wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And that's not common knowledge,
I'm very excited for this book, actually. I'm glad you brought it up, David. I like Kristen Baver's Skywalker Saga book, too. I like that idea. I've said that more in the past, of like, I'd look more Star Wars history books that are in universe. I've praised Fire and Blood, the George R. R. Martin history book that is now the House of Dragon. It's my favorite George R. R. Martin read. It's really fascinating, and that one's told. It's a history book told with a very, unsteady perspective from an unreliable narrator. It's really interesting. So I like that. Also, Dr. Chris Kempschel, there was a couple of interviews I want to shout out again, as I do every once in a while, Star Wars 7x7, Alan Voivod's podcast. He interviewed him a couple years ago in another book he wrote and everything, and a really fascinating guy. And the fact that he's looking at Star Wars this way is interesting as well. So I'm all in on that. I'm all in on it.
Nice. I like that. Nick Arcott says, Kinoff, not Kenoff. Kinoff. Beaumont Kinoff.
I'm Beaumont Kinoff. We are all Kinoff.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about it. Like, yeah, we've paused covering the books due to the time commitment it takes, and also the harsh and sad reality that the episodes just don't get anywhere near as much traction. But both Ken and I independently have been reading The Living Force. And it's great to see somebody making a joke about it in the chat as well, about good old Caddy Monday. I'm not going to post it just in case Ken hasn't got to that bit yet.
I haven't, but it went online. A book got spoiled for me, but yes, I know.
Book got spoiled. Yeah. For me, the issue isn't a desire; it's time, and I made time for The Living Force because, again, I'm so just enjoying celebrating the era of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the book, and we're not. This isn't a backdoor pilot for the Living Force review because I'm not taking any notes or paying attention. I'm just reading the story. I mean, I'm paying attention to what I'm reading, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm deep into it. I'm about halfway in, and really enjoying it. Really enjoying it.
Yeah, I've been on days where I let myself read for like a half an hour to 45 minutes in the morning, and I was real naughty. It became 90 minutes this morning because I can't put that book down. It's great.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
Thanks,
man. There you go. All right. Anything else here? Let's see. I mean, we got a lot. Let's be clear. We got a lot. But anything, you know what? How about this? I've been sitting on this one for a while. My pal, David McKay. Can you rank Darth Maul's sets of legs?
Yeah, because he has, he's got organic legs.
He's got organic legs.
He's got the legs the Force in Mother Talzin gave him, right?
Right.
Then he has the spider legs he just has to make do with on Lotho Minor, right?
And those are like super spider legs, right?
Super spider legs, right?
Yeah.
And then he's got his first set of artificial legs, which are they're not spider legs, but they're right, to make him almost look like Pan, right? Like they're almost like he's got claws, so they're not hooved, but they have that sort of double knee, sort of mythic sort of thing. And then finally, when those get messed up, he's like, "How about normal legs?
Yeah,
how about robotic legs that are just,
Yeah, I love that you took it into a mythic, Pan, mythic claws represent many things. I just call them ostrich legs. He just looks like ostrich legs. But
it's a totally different myth, image of Maul running around and then burying his head in the sand.
I'm a dinosaur. Yeah. I like these ones. I like the ones where he's like, I've perfected the robot legs. Now I do worry about the plumbing. I don't know what's going on there. We don't need to know, Maul, but I would love, with the back pain I have, as you get older, we're all feeling it. I'd be okay with it. I'll explore that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, the spider legs are great because they're like, he had to make do. So I think spider legs, number one. Robot legs that have the profile of standard legs.
Yeah.
Standard legs. And then way down at the bottom, the ostrich legs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I like them less than the spider legs. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're cool. They're interesting, but they were splitting the difference. They're like training legs. It's like Mother Talzin was like, you're used to being a spider, so you're gonna transition from ostrich
Yeah. Which I still, yeah, I don't have problems with the spider legs now. I don't think I've had problems, but like there's that kind of famous clip now of Paul F. Tompkins going around that goes around every once in a while of him dying laughing, hearing about the spider legs. And I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment behind his laughter, but I understand the laughter. Like it wasn't my favorite thing. And if it had been done now, right? The discourse I think would have been explosive, but now it's charming to me.
Yeah,
But I still
yeah.
love them. Yeah.
I know I did a couple shows on cruise ships with Paul F. Tompkins, who is just a charming, hilarious, genuine human being.
Yeah, yeah.
The podcast persona is that's who he is. But he also, because he did a voice for like a kind of a wilder, wackier character on Star Wars Resistance, and
Right.
then in better days on this site, not currently called Twitter anymore, somebody had got through to him that I think somebody must have been making fun of him for being on Resistance, being a jerk, but someone had gotten his head that show wasn't canon. So I tweeted at him like, the show was enjoyable, your role was great, and it's canon, and it just really like it cracked me up as like this is where we are in life, and to have existential dread where a performer has to go. I thought they told me I was canon. Am I not canon?
Do I
Am I
not
not
exist?
canon to you?
Am I not there? Love it there. Oh, that's great. Yeah, sweetheart of a dude and good mustache.
Yep.
I don't agree with just the mustache I have issues with it. I'm very public about, but he makes it work.
He makes it work. Yep. Yep. I want to grab this one from I'm the Ben Dude.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you
I
for the
love that
kind super chat. Played out as the Back from the Dead trope is, which character would you be absolutely down to resurrect? I'm going with Aura Singh. That's a really good one. A really good question. And Star Wars has taken my answer because it was Asajj Ventress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to run through that list here in my head.
The list of
Phasma's up there.
Oh, yeah.
I was hopeful.
Yeah,
Ryan didn't kill her. But.
Yeah, no, Phasma is. I know. The vast majority of the audience would probably take that as a Back from the Dead. But to me, it's like, no, these are the rules of pulp. She fell into a flaming pit. We didn't see her cut in half like Maul. We didn't see her body explode into evil force energy like we did with Palpatine. Like that wouldn't even be a Back from the Dead. It would just be like, here's how she survived for me. But I love Phasma stories.
Matthew Stokes is a great answer here. I want Filoni to walk out on stage in a "I'm a gonna die" T-shirt that switches to "I'm a gonna live." Yeah. I'm the Ben Dude adds, Alex Damon, if you're listening, Biggs did not survive that.
Just his mustache floating through space with the rest of the debris.
I agree. I'm trying.
This was a good one from David Taylor. Justice for Val. I agree with that. I think that explosion looked pretty big, but I'd be just fine with Val having survived that. I love Solo to death, but it's one of those moments of like, I understand they wanted to push Beckett, but I'd almost would have enjoyed it more if she was like, as much as I love you, man, I told you were making bad choices, and I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah. Solo. That's a great answer.
Yeah, it's a great answer. I'll also go. We'll see what this last episode brings. I don't want Tech to have just survived that fall, but I am still interested in the idea of Tech 2.0. And I know when I bring it up, a lot of times it's heartbreaking for people. But I also just think it's one of the really fascinating ideas to explore with the idea of cloning and with the idea that Star Wars is so interested in. We are, of course, shaped by where we come from, but it isn't our sole definition. So to have somebody who has the abilities, the personality of Tech, but not the life experiences, it's a fascinating way to just look at existence.
That is wonderfully deep, but I'm going to follow that up with this answer. Oh, and Rance Tyrell. And Gaz has got a great one. Snap Wexley. When a movie set at Exegol with Snap and a lone Sith worshiper like Enemy Mine, which is a great reference to a movie I saw in the theater and loved. It also kind of freaked me out because I was young, but yeah, that's a great one there.
Love it. Love it.
That's so great. Still Bill says, hey, my biggest complaint with Solo is how quickly Becca goes over Vel's death. And which I understand. Still Bill, I understand. I'm not pushing back on you. I will say this. I do think we don't see it. I think on camera it moves fast. In the film it moves fast. But he buries her. He buries his other buddy. And I think we just don't see it as much. That's my only thought on that. But but a lot of people share your sentiment there still, Bill.
Yeah.
Because they love Val.
Mm-hmm. She's great, and she was right.
Indeed. All right.
All righty. Do you want to pick another one there, Ken? Or
I do.
Busy coughing?
I'm a radio man. I know to mute my mic. Let's get to we'll get to some Bad Batch questions. We got time here. We're here for about an hour. But I love some of the other ones we got here, and this one's from Andrew McNabb, who we had the pleasure of. We met Andrew in London, right? Andrew, was that right? If you could design a Phantom Menace popcorn bucket, what would it be? I'm going to put your hand through Qui-Gon's shirt just to get your snack. I didn't read that sentence all the way before I brought that up.
Yep. Would a whole hand fit? You need a really big bucket to get your hand in. I want a Qui-Gon's Noble and a sippy cup where the fluid is in his torso and a straw is sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if then there's holes in both sides, it's draining out. It's terrible.
You don't want your drinks draining. For me, it might be like a gooberfish, you know.
Ooh,
big gooberfish, like that might.
Yeah.
Be
I would love one that is the power shaft that Maul falls in, and when you eat all of the popcorn, you get a little Maul figure of the two halves of his body at the bottom.
Now, for the Attack of the Clones release, we're definitely gonna get a Shack butt.
I would love that. Love that.
Andrew, thank you for the question. Love that.
An important one. That's the most important one we've tackled today.
Important one indeed. I'm excited too. I'm in town. We're seeing Phantom Menace. I had I can explain more offline. Had a complete schedule mess up, and I was supposed to be in New York, and I thought I wasn't, and it turns out I was, and I will be here. But so I'm bummed about that. But what's making me feel okay is Phantom Menace. Cannot wait to see that.
I'm so excited for it. I adjusted some travel plans so I could see it at the beginning of its new run, because when I went to buy tickets, the theater was very full, and I just can't wait to watch it with an audience who is, the last time I saw it with a full house was in 1999, and emotions varied in 1999.
I saw it 8 times. The 8th time was the digital. Remember they did that digital release, right? At the end of the and to go again and again. I want to be clear. I was in on the movie, but I convinced myself that I wasn't. Right? I let the discourse, which wasn't even online, I let the discourse sway me. And again, could we have things here in the movie that could have been? Got it. Put that over there. I saw it 8 times. From the opening day, where the theater was shaken with so many people screaming too. I saw it digitally by myself, and I had 4 rows to myself. I want to erase that memory. I want to fill it with the shaking of the theater.
And I hope it's financially successful enough that they do Attack the Clones too when that comes around. I really want to see Attack the Clones in the theater.
Well, they've been putting a lot of I know they got the marathon at some theaters on like May 4th, and I haven't clicked on the story yet, but I saw that Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings might be back in theater. Like we saw, with the industry kind of slagging during the pandemic. Like, do this, man. Put these things back in theaters.
Classics back in, yeah. It amused me. It's a friend's website dutifully reporting. The Lord of the Rings, but it said the Lord of the Rings extended cuts back in theaters for a limited time, which which is all technically correct, but it cracked me up of like, there's nothing limited about those films. It's
Nothing.
extremely long time.
Nothing. While we're here, Phantom Menace, this question to come in earlier, question from Discord. Do you remember what you wore when the Phantom Menace came out in 1999? I want to wear a Y2K aesthetic when I go next week. And I don't know 8984M's exact age, but I don't think they were wearing much in 99 other than maybe kids' clothes. Correct me if I'm wrong, 8984. What was your style at the time?
What was the style at the time? I did not realize this was what I was dressing like because I hadn't seen the film yet. But I was dressing like a background extra in the film Swingers. Being of my era and being in a cold place, I wore a lot of wasn't born yet. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
there you go.
I had a lot of flannel back in the day in the grunge day, and for warmth, I read On the Road, which kind of makes a thing of just being like just jeans and a white T-shirt, no corporate blah blah blah. So I did just a white T-shirt for a while, but then I was making a little bit more money at working at Kinko's, and it was like the first time in my life is like I can be an adult and go pick the clothes I want. And because there was that sort of revitalization of the swing era, I had a lot of kind of like not quite like bowling shirts. I described them as Desi Arnaz shirts because it's the kind of shirts that he wore a lot in I Love Lucy, of like a button down with like little sewn on cocktails. Or I had one I really liked that was just a stark white and black with like a white textured with the cut off sleeve about here. And it wasn't later until I saw the movie Swingers, and it's like me.
I didn't. It's so funny. I did not have those shirts until mid 2000s. I'd go to the chain store Tilly's, and I'd buy a bunch of them. It was more, and I did not watch the show, and I don't endorse a lot, but it was more what Charlie Sheen was wearing in 2.5 Men, and that was my version of dressing up. I finally got in 2013 got rid of all those damn shirts, but I wore those. I know exactly what you're talking about. I had a bunch of those.
Yeah, I still have some of them with me because there's like some beloved shirts, and yeah. Just 8984M says, I noticed there were a lot of belts in my research. Is that true?
Is that true?
Man, I wish Jennifer was here because I can't speak well to the whole broadness of fashion across the gender spectrum because I was not. All I did was get those shirts. I don't know what jeans. I can't remember. I think jeans were baggy then.
Yeah, very much so.
Jeans were very baggy. So I think I just had, and jeans were always baggy on me because I was extremely rail thin. So it wasn't until the past decade where jeans got skinny. So I had probably like. I probably looked like David Byrne in his suit in baggy jeans in a shirt that drapes at the shoulders and never touches another part of your body.
And 8984M points out they're baggy again. And I'm here to tell you, don't do that mistake. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
skinnies. I don't wear skinny. I wear slim cut. I've never owned a pair of skinny jeans. I sometimes maybe buy too tight because I'm not facing the true number of my jeans, but. Don't do that. Don't do the baggy to yourself. You don't want to see those pictures in 20 years.
I finally had a moment where like, this is ridiculous. I need to catch up on the jeans. And I got not the full on skinny jeans because I tried those and like, no, I don't want it. I don't want it to be like some sort of, weird pressure puzzle to get my phone out of my pocket. Like, where like, if you put your finger in there, he's like, there's an exercise to get it out. Like, no. So I have the slimmer ones and I really like those, but I got the slimmer cut. And then like maybe 2 years later, the baggy was back, and I really felt like this is one of those things. Unless I'm doing something like that's just horribly embarrassing or offensive for some reason, it's become coded with meaning. I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna wear whatever jeans, and I'll let time catch up with me. I don't care.
It'll be cyclical again. Matthew Stokes says, "Why can't sensible jeans just be the norm?" And then Brian Tiller, only pro skaters get a pass for baggy jeans. And also, as always, caveat: wear what you want out there, what makes you comfortable. For me, my answer is I know exactly. And you mentioned it. I had blue jeans and generally a white T-shirt. It was usually printed with something, but I was in a different era of my life. I had done the surfer kid thing. I wasn't a surfer kid, but I grew up near the beach, so I had town and country shirts. In junior high, I was, I towards actually no. By the time I got to high school, I became a preppy kid. I had dress shirts and that kind of. I did that thing for a while. Then I went the opposite direction, kind of like I'm doing now. I was a suit guy for a while. The whole piss boss. I feel like the piss boss. The pit boss era was very much that was what I wore to work, and I owned 14 suits. I own 0 suits right now, and I'm back to I wear black jeans, black shirt all the time. It's generally what I wear. But I know exactly what I was wearing. I wore the blue jeans, average, sensible. I probably had a printed shirt or white. It wasn't a blank white T-shirt, but it was like I had a periodic table white T-shirt I wore a lot back then. I had my Princess Leia shirt, which was this was the only time I could wear it, so I probably wore it to one of the screens. But I always wore black combat style work boots because that's what I wore at work. Remember, I was in the security industry at this time, and they're actually are comfortable, but I wore those, so I looked like that dude. And then I had a jacket. I had a mid-90s LAPD jacket with no badge or patches or anything. It was gifted to me by a friend who was in the fire department. And it was an old style that was outdated, and I used to wear it everywhere. And cops would stop me and offer to buy it from me all the time.
Wow.
This happened regularly because it was like, dude, that's a class. They don't let us wear. Can I get that? Can I get that from you? It happened countless times. Also at work, I'd wear it into work, and like a lot of the off-duty guys would be, "Where'd you get that? How much you want to sell that for?" And so I wore that to the Phantom Menace. I looked like, as I always said, an off-duty FBI agent trying to look normal. It was horrendous.
It's so weird to me that the way the technology has changed my life. Of like, I have way too many photos on my phone, but the reason I struggle to delete them is I realize I'm using this as a diary of my life.
Totally.
And I remember what I wore to Force Awakens, but if I didn't, I could look it up on my phone. And it's weird. Like, I don't know if any of my friends brought a click and shoot camera. Like, I don't know if there's any photographic evidence of what I wore,
So
but
rare.
I think it was that white, swing era bowling shirt.
So funny.
Well, to wrap it up here, 8984M says, it's funny, the 90s look I'm setting on is similar to how I dress normally, just adding a CD Walkman and maybe some era-specific sunglasses.
I didn't walk around with a CD Walkman. I wasn't that rich.
But maybe we'll bring one to the show. Who knows? Who knows? That's great. Some great reflections on the cycles of fashion. You ready for another question, Ken?
Let's do it.
Got this super chat from Michael McCarsel. Thank you very much. Finals week is around the corner for me. Michael's a teacher. What do you guys think higher education looks like in the Star Wars galaxy? That's really great.
I think Michael's studying. I think Michael's in
excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, higher education. I think. Detective, correct us. Or maybe he studied to be a teacher. What do we think it looks like? I think there's some highfalutin universities on Coruscant. Coruscant U.
Absolutely. The scientist, Pershing, clearly studied somewhere and got a lofty degree.
And had to work for it, right? Had to work for it. His other classmates were on the rowing team. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And he had to work for it.
I think Hemlock has a degree from somewhere. I think Rampart did not get particularly good grades, but partied it up at Rats that his rich got him into. I wonder if I bet there's like a big central university on Coruscant, and then like lots of I'm sure Alderaan credits transfer. Like I bet the core worlds are kind of unified, where like if you grow up on Coruscant, it's like if you're kind of I'm leaning into some stereotypes here, but if you're a rich posh family on Coruscant, you kind of hope that your kid becomes a scientist or whatever on Coruscant, and you can tolerate it if they go to Alderaan, but what you're really hoping is that they don't get really interested in mechanics and go to the Corellia Votech,
the vocational school. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah. No. And it's like, and then there's Chandrilla, University of Chandrilla, and everyone's like, But I mean, come on, that was your safety school.
Yeah.
We know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'd be going to like Jakku Community College. That's all I could do.
Most characters in Star Wars go to the school of hard knocks, and it works for them. And
I love this.
fine
I
with
wouldn't
me.
mind. We always talk about the Jedi Order, and can we get a Jedi Order? Students studying the Jedi sitcom, or not sitcom, but like a show, geared maybe towards younger people, everything. But you know what's interesting? Again, going back to Skeleton Crew, we might start to see a little bit of the education system in Star Wars at play.
Yeah,
Outside, we saw the classroom in Mandalorian. I get that, but like we might see it a little bit more. Like, did you do your homework today? Kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, some great polls from various publishing. David Taylor, Krennic and
Yes.
Erskine were classmates.
That's
indeed.
right. That's true.
Marcus says, another question from Monken. Shadows of the Sith has a little bit of academia, if I recall. I think that's right. Laura Santeca had to be a college grad of something.
But
he went to a religious school, right? Like Church of the Force.
But let's be honest. Laura Santeca did go to college, and then was that guy that in the third year dropped out because he found, he did some ayahuasca or something and like didn't come back.
I think there's got to be some sort of Jedi pill where people say this is what it's like to connect to the Force if you can't, and I think Laura Santeca experimented with a lot of those and then did some finger paintings in the desert for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
One
of the things
Burning Man in Star Wars, Laura Santeca is there with his camp right now. Yeah.
One of the things I'm loving about the Living Force is it's got some crunchy, real world stuff. More mentions of the courts, and I feel like the courts are one of those kind of real world things that got established in the prequel era that I would love to see them explore more. And academia would be fascinating as well. Whatever academia is, that's targeted immediately by Palpatine, right? Like,
well, and I love
it's not going to be a place of.
Yeah,
I'm sure in the High Republic, it's a place to ask questions, right? And it is not a place to ask questions during the Imperial Order.
It's what you see all the time, and I don't want to get too real world now, I guess, but like it is where like what are they doing over there? What kind of thinking are they teaching of the next generation? That's where a lot of fears go from the generations in power. So I absolutely think that, and Alex Cameron Smith brings up this. I wonder if some students gave up their studies to join the rebellion. Love that idea as a little subplot for something else down the line, or season 2. A student leaves, leaves course at you.
Still, Bill's in the same neighborhood here. Just hope your kid doesn't go ultra conservative like Mothma's daughter.
Traditionalist. She's traditionalist. Lita's a traditionalist,
Yeah. Commander Cloud,
thank you.
Give us a kind super chat. Thank you, Commander Cloud.
Yeah,
great stuff. Great stuff to wonder about. It is so funny to look at the different characters and think about, like,
Yeah.
And then like on Kashyyyk, I don't think they have any organized university. I think they just really have the old ways will be passed down. It takes a Wookiee village kind of attitude of,
right. Yeah, absolutely, indeed. Looking for some next questions here too while you're chatting. I love the idea of Chewbacca went to Kashyyyk U, and then at some point was like, I'm going to go hang out with my pal. I met this guy. We're cool. We're good. I'm not coming back. Like he was studying, and then after Han, there's a conversation in Solo 2 that we're going to see where he's like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. A couple other questions that are a little on the ladder. We'll get back to the Bad Batch. If you have a question about the Bad Batch finale, what you think is going to happen, a prediction, all that stuff, we want to get to that as well. But some other things here. One for me and one more for you here is what I'm seeing here, Joseph.
Okay, great.
Let me clear that fashion one, clearing some of the questions. All right, so Extra Cheddar says question next week for the Star Wars Fortnite event, which starts. What skins or items are you wanting to see? I know some of them because our pal Ken Plume you need Fortnite scoops. He's got you covered. I think there's a Chewbacca coming. There is I heard a General Leia, which we don't know how that's exactly going to go. And some other characters like that. So in terms of that, I don't. Right now, my Fortnite character is Lady Gaga. It's been fun. I've been on a winning streak with Lady Gaga.
What kind of outfit is Gaga in?
It's the Chromatica Ball stuff. There's a couple versions of it there. So if you pay for, I don't do there, because like what essentially was Rock Band or Guitar Hero, kind of, Fortnite acquired it. So there's that part of the game. I don't really do it. I'm not good at it. But the Chromatica with the purple kind of tentacles and that kind of outfit. That thing
Nice.
is there, but this is more of a combination Rain on Me kind of vibe. And then they just released a Billie Eilish one. Which, can I say this weird sub story?
Please go for it.
Okay, so I'm a fan of Billie Eilish. Love what she's doing. Love who she's becoming and how bold she is with who she is. But I never knew too much about her past. Her mom, I didn't know her mom, but her mom is Maggie Baird, who was a groundling and left in 2000 in large part because she was pregnant. I saw her at the time. I've met Billie Eilish.
Oh wow!
She was there. She was her mom. I just found out this week. Of this weird, yeah, it's blown away. It's weird kind of thing.
Amazing.
Pop culture information. I remember that. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to the Fortnite events. Are fun. They bring in lightsabers into Fortnite, and I know one day we'll get you in, Joseph. One day you'll play a Doctor Who character when they show up. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for, and it's always fun. Whether if you're not a Fortnite fan, I totally get it. I am, but there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then I saw this one for you, Joseph. Rich T. Joseph, non-Star Wars question for you to make it even. What's one of your favorite non-pop culture things to do? Like, do you do geography, geology, different languages, cultures, astronomy? What do you do? What do you do?
What do I do? I would say history. This is a cutesy story about my wife and I. So my wife and I have both worked for historical societies. In particular, my wife has now been in charge of a couple different historic mansions, one in St. Paul, Minnesota, where we're originally from, Minnesota in general, and then she is in charge of a historic mansion here in LA, running it for a city. But when we first started dating, I worked for the Minnesota Historical Society at a great museum, if you go to Minneapolis, called Mill City Museum, and she worked at this at the James J. Hill House, and we bonded over liking. I knew that she liked history, and on our first date, I wasn't sure if it was a date or not, but it had just been her birthday. So I went to buy her a card at the local drugstore, and it's like, I know she likes old stuff, so I got a picture of like an oldie time telephone, and that was the first card I gave her, and she really liked it.
Nice.
And then, so when we're the classification behind the scenes when you worked for the Minnesota Historical Society was if you were full time, you were an A, and if you were part time up to 30 hours or something like that, you were a B, and we had this romantic conversation of like, so are you an A or a B? And like, I'm a B, and she's like, I'm a B.
Let's be together.
Yes. So we referred to one another sometimes as my B boy and my B girl, but not in any sort of like hip hop way. In a how many hours do you work at the Minnesota Historical Society way?
That's amazing.
We both really love history, so like one of the things I love deeply about LA is the general history, but also the entertainment history. So I love going to old theaters. I love kind of going in LA or Vegas and sort of tracking down the remnants of the times that have gone by. So history would be the answer to this question.
Love that. Yeah. Feeling the cities, feeling it in the places you go. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
My answers are boring because everything I do is now monetized.
Getting up there.
The problem of our society. Yeah, that's not true. I love going for walks. I'm a walker. I love two things that make me an old man: walks and early dinners.
Hey, happy Arbor Day. Because we love going to parks. My ideal day is if we can go like see a movie in an old theater, go to a park, a book or record store, and then a oldie school cocktail place. That's a perfect day for me.
Love that. It's such a perfect day. All right, I asked those silly questions there. If we want, we got a lot of Bad Batch ones. Where does your heart take you on these questions, sir?
Yeah, let me look here. Here we go. From the Sabersmith. Will Batcher end up on Endor? I can't handle another sweet mutt's death. I'm scarred by John Wick and Daisy. Just saw yesterday another friend posting about the I think it's does the doggy die or is the doggy okay? That lets you know if anything bad happens to pets. We need that for the Bad Batch. Ken and I were joking really early on this season about the amount of incredibly lovable side characters that the Bad Batch has collected, and that maybe the spinoff is, the Sad Batch or the B Bad Batch of AZ3, Gonki, and Batcher, and I think all of them were left safely behind on Pabu, so their fates is really like maybe. Maybe that's the follow-up show. Is it's the three of them righting wrongs.
That could be here's a ship lands on Pabu. The door opens. The camera's up here, and then suddenly it whip pans down to the floor. And Meeber Gascon's like, "I'm building D Squad again," and Gonki and AZ join, and then they're ready to leave, and then Batcher's like, and they convince Meeber to take Batcher, and it becomes the D Squad or something.
And then Batcher accidentally eats Meeber. Terrible final beat. I think because of the story of the clones, there's been a lot of cavalry talk being Rex and other clones, but other people have been pointing out wisely it could be Fee, in the cute batch here of AZ3 and Batcher and Gonki. Maybe Gonki will ride the Zillow Beast.
Now you're talking. I would like Gonki showing up and getting one like shot in on a trooper or something. Like maybe Gonki takes out Hemlock while on the Zillow.
Oh yeah, love it.
Let's see here. Well, and keep it in that there. Gary 24 fan says, "Hey guys, great discussion. Thank you, Gary. I wonder if there's a connection between what's wrong with Crosshair's hand and why Hemlock keeps fiddling with his." Yeah, I've seen this a lot, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's I almost to the point want to call it foreshadowing of the end of these characters, at least one of them. I hope Hemlock. I'd love to have Crosshair live in some way, and I'd love to have Crosshair on Endor, right next to Rex and Batcher and Sinjar Rathvalis. I just love them all there. Yeah, I think the fates are intertwined.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on our last review discussion of the last episode of Bad Batch. I think the fact that the show spent time, suggesting the idea that the hand damage to Crosshair was at least partially psychosomatic, and that we did see the handshake as he's walking through there in this most recent episode, getting even closer to having to face Hemlock again. That it could be he is taking on some amount of the a physical manifestation of PTSD from the jerk who traumatized him, in that fear of loss of his ability, and some deep, scary stuff. But I think because of that, I really do hope that it is sort of Crosshair who has the final standoff with Hemlock.
Yeah. The shot working despite the handshake or something like that, or the hand shot,
or the shot working because of the handshake, or Crosshair seeing Hemlock mess with his hand and having a breakthrough that's what's affecting him, and once he understands it,
let it go. Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily end in violence. Amaranth points out there's just a hand thing in Star Wars. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because A9 for M points out Echo's hand. Yeah. I think a lot of us have that T-shirt of severed hands and limbs in Star Wars. It's there. I was
gonna say, before Star Wars started actually dealing with it, like in the comic book set between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. I mean, that was a favorite go-to joke of just like all of the cleaning people just constantly finding limbs in shafts is it's still entertaining to me.
Yeah, but no, I'm with you. I think they're definitely intertwined. I think there's something, what caused that in Hemlock. I think it was Alex who was kind of talking about, is he maybe with he and Molly on the their questions episode of, is Hemlock taking a hit from his own, experiments? Is there something going on with him? Is there a connection? And I'm again, I don't think we're going to find out in some super drawn out scene or some monologue, but just I think it's there. I think it's there to engage with, and yeah. And, I don't, it's tough to say, especially in Star Wars. Am I hoping Hemlock dies? Nah, we could break some cycles of violence if you want with the show, but I do think that there's a collision with those two coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And I maybe there won't be anything more than what's there. And I think what's there is kind of rich, and we're all able to read different things into it.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Great stuff. Great questions. Keep your questions coming in. We got a lot to choose from here.
Yeah.
Uh,
You got
well,
one?
while you're picking the next one, I'll toss this one up because we kind of addressed it. David McKay says, do we think the finale is going to be a normal length episode or could that surprise us? Like I said, we said earlier, we're going to leave it open ended. I just really think the surprise. I want to make sure because sometimes, especially I have a habit of being a little coy with some rumors we've heard. I literally do not know nothing. Really, really don't. But I just think there's going to be a stay tuned surprise versus the episode length or anything in the show. I just think it just makes some sense to me the more you think about it.
The season is one episode shorter than the previous order, so that could just be saving money. That could be them being told, this is how much screen time you have, work with it, period.
Yeah, that's what you got.
This is what you got, work with it. And I think, if there's a 24-minute episode, I trust the writers to do the very best they can with the time they have. But it's also, since it's one episode shorter, I do think there's a possibility it's longer. More than anything, I don't want to. I want to be prepared for that fact that it could be 24 minutes. I don't want to get dependent on it and then be kind of wrestling with that in the episode. If it's 24 minutes, that's the time the writers have to wrap up the story.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
we'll find out soon enough.
We got this here. We want to share this from Amaranth because it's a kind super chat. Your idea of the clones as a kaiju blew my mind, but it fits. They were created by unnatural experiments, manipulated into being weapons of mass destruction, and then enslaved and experimented on. We were having a fun discussion on our most recent episode about, the Zillo Beast being this great lingering thread of the Clone Wars animated series. And that was great that it came into Bad Batch. But as we're heading into the finale and it's teed up as like, this is Omega's way out. This is the coup de grace. This is the natural beast that will defy the Empire. Of like, why of everything that we could have, continuing from the Clone Wars, that just, to me, I was just touched by kind of how symbolic it was that that Palpatine always thinks he can manipulate nature, and he can, when he sees power, he can take other people's power. He sort of creates the clones as pawns to give them power and use their power. And this whole series hasn't been about, it's actually, we're individuals. It's our agency. It's our power, Palpatine. And the Zillo Beast just matches that so well. He finds this creature that he's disturbed with his, weapons experimentation, and says, I can take what you have and make it mine, my power, my. So this one, I guess that's one of the things that I really hope for this final episode is, if it's a big story, if it's a small story, that for it just to be a resounding celebration of agency in the face of Palpatine's attempt to take people's agency and power.
Yeah, absolutely. And we said I've become obsessed with people's obsession with the Zillo Beast. And meaning I enjoy the Zillo Beast, but just that it affected people. Going back to the Clone Wars, going back to why would that's just sitting there. So during Revenge of the Sith, there's a Zillo Beast somewhere. What's going on? And I like that we're going to get to it. The fact that it might thematically connect with. Palpatine is never in control as much as he wants to think he is. He has a lot of it. He has a lot of it, without a doubt. He is in that position for a reason. But that at the end of the day, hope's going to spring eternal. And if hope is it takes the form of a rampaging creature, so be it, Jedi.
So be it, Jedi.
Yeah, love that. Great stuff there.
So you got another one here, Ken? You want me to grab one?
Yeah, 8984M, a superstar of our chat. Here's his question. Did you see the cryptic tweets that the Kiners and Jennifer Corbett sent out? What are your thoughts on, quote, trolling creators? I did see, they've sent out a few. I love all these creators. Jennifer Corbett sent out one that was like, I've seen something like, I'm paraphrasing, I'm seeing a lot of theories.
I got it up here. It says, so many of the Bad Batch theories, and then the gif of Luke from Last Jedi saying this is not going to go the way you think.
I'm okay with that.
I think that's just her trying to, in a really friendly way, get ahead of. Don't get too attached to your theories.
Yeah, I think there's some energy to that, and there's some joy. I try to make sure I keep the perspective of the Kiners. Excuse me. Kiners, the Kiner siblings, and Kevin Kiner. Every once in a while, I put some stuff out there. Well, I want to make sure I'm really being clear. Nothing super negative in my head, but sometimes I'm just like, maybe wait to the end of the episode. The end of it. We really enjoyed the music for this person. Just hold on. But I don't hold it against them because I think there's some joy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
I haven't seen I haven't seen as much of those because I'm not on X very much.
Yeah, there's you can go on Threads and just find the most weirdly negative threads on that weird site.
Okay.
No, and then
good.
and then I just have a different relationship with it than I did in the past. Where we grew up where spoilers weren't really a thing. Hell, Billy D. Williams told the plot of Empire Strikes Back in press interviews. Leading up, David Prowse famously got in trouble by Lucasfilm for maybe giving stuff away. It was handled a little differently, but I also think times have changed, and I think so many shows are not. I don't mean this in a cheap way, but they're building towards a big shock or a big surprise or a big event or a big thing, and spoilers. It means something now, and I don't like if you're too cute. I think you can dance close. So sometimes I'm grumpy about it. There's an editor in the Star Wars world that I think sometimes I'm like, just stop tweeting, just don't. But it's like you're involved, we get it. But so I have a little grumpiness about it. But I think to your big point, I think Jennifer Corbett's excited. She's done. Her and her team have done amazing work, and she also knows we told our story. Just let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen as many of the Kinders, but I'm kind of with you. Of if you're gonna do a cryptic post, I want it real cryptic because I just kind of feel like the creators should tell the story, and the audience should have a chance to see it, and then we can all joke around about it or get excited about it. I feel is better. We're in this era now where it is sort of incumbent upon creators, like it's a privilege to be so successful a creator that you don't have to have a social media presence.
Right. Yeah.
Because even I've been in Hollywood 10 years and I only have a toe in the door. And it was a sort of like, ooh, that's a bonus if you have a decent social media following. So now it's kind of like the industry is expecting you to do a lot of the publicity work for them. That is one of your values and one of the reasons they might choose you. I don't know anything about Jennifer Corbett's career and how she ended up where she is doing this incredibly amazing work, but I think it's smart of her and any creator in her position in a business sense to develop a relationship with the audience and to develop numbers and to be a cheerleader for your own work in your own community. I think is really, really smart. And then there's a fine line of how to handle that, and from all the posts that I've seen, I think it's great. I've seen this other one that says, what is that? It's the penultimate episode of the Bad Batch dropping in less than 12 hours. And then unless I'm mistaken, it's the famous shaking water glass shot from Jurassic Park, which if I had seen that before the episode, I would be like, okay, well, just big things are coming. Now, having seen it, I read it as it's kaiju time.
Or I guess you could say maybe the turrets in that scene too. But it's close.
Yep.
I get it. It all comes from a good place. I try to have context and try to not take it all too seriously myself. I understand the question. But
and David Taylor says, meanwhile, Dave Filoni just drops his Star Wars art on Instagram and leaves.
But that's true too.
It's true.
But he'll do it 3 years before.
That's true. And it will garner buzz. Yeah.
I'll say this, and I sometimes have some Dave issues. I think some of them, not only is it not fun, they're really puzzle things you got to figure out. You know what I mean? I've never felt, other than the T-shirt thing, $2!! That was pretty clear. But even some of the stuff from Ahsoka season 2, it's like, all right, it's a fun little breadcrumb game you're playing.
Yeah, so that's all good by me. Yeah. Well, thank you for the reminder to not check social media before, because I don't even want to see the cryptic. I just want to see it. Come Tuesday night.
Yep. All right. We got some good Bad Batch finale questions, and we got about 15, 20 minutes left. So if you want to get a question in, if you want to get a super chat, now is the time. We appreciate you all hanging out with us here. This has been a lot of fun as always. For those who joined late, we also want to go. Jennifer could not be here today. Don't worry. We'll get her. She'll be there for the finale. And look for her YouTube shorts of our Gentle Giant reviews for the 2 Ewok-related items she got this weekend. All right. I want to have a Bad Batch question, but a Rancor-sized Nubs or 10 Nub-sized Rancors? Which would you choose to fight to get out of a bad situation?
That's extremely easy for me.
Yeah?
Is it easy for you, Ken?
Yeah, I'm going Rancor. 1 Rancor-sized Nubs.
Yep, no question. Because I can hide, I can dodge, I can run. 10 nub-sized Rancors would just eat my legs, and I'd be done.
You couldn't do anything. Yeah, you couldn't fight them all off at once.
Nope. They would latch on, and that would be over. But Rancor-sized Nubs, well, I could probably appeal to a Rancor-sized Nubs. I mean, to not eat me.
Yeah. There's more running to do. There's more diving to do. Yeah.
Even if a Rancor-sized Nubs decides he's going to eat you, Nubs doesn't appear to chew. So you would just go right down his gullet. He eats real fast.
Chance for survival. Chance for survival goes up. Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. Love that. All right. You got a Bad Batch question jumping out. You got a silly question. What do you see? There's some good ones here.
Well, that one we've already talked about. Here's one from Gaz Nottingham. In the Bad Batch finale, which obscure character or specific thing from a previous episode that we breezed over could have huge implications, much like the Purgle from Rebels, excluding the Zillo Beast, obviously? That's a great question. That is a brain racker for all the various details.
Yeah.
I think for a small detail, I would say maybe Rex's heart-to-heart with Wolf. If there is a cavalry of clones coming, which isn't that wild of a prediction to me. Rex has been in the series a lot. Rex is Echo's partner with the stated mission of saving clones, so Rex would be just as invested as finding Tantus. But we saw Rex's forces largely decimated in the 2-shot. Rest in peace, Fireball, with his spicy modifications. But if Wolf had turned and was able to bring a larger complement with him, that might be a thing.
That might be good. I mean, the answer is Bolo and Ketch showing up, ready to play bar games. No. What if it's this detail? All right, you're right, because it's also I'm trying to scroll through every episode in my brain right now, and it's not. That's impossible with the amount of whiskey I've had. But the idea that Tantus is secret. Tantus is a project that's on, it's in the back pocket of Palpatine. A lot of people work there, I will say. But what if the destruction of Tantus is actually the hands of Palpatine? Not necessarily literally, not blue lightning in it, but just wipe it out, all of it. I can't have anyone know this. We'll pick up the research elsewhere. Hemlock has failed me. Vader can't know. Tarkin's probably aware enough. Obviously he's had conversation with Hemlock and everything, but there's meetings, there's people that do know, to be clear. But that there's too much hubbub from Tantus, and the Death Star doesn't exist, but Palpatine takes care of it.
Yeah, this is a wild one, but it's just we still don't, and I don't think we can get a ton of answers on Emery of how many sisters are there?
Right.
Is there a whole sub-level full of sisters that could rise up,
Well, yeah, and who else is there? We know there's a ton of clones. We know there's the kids. We know there's some more, Batcher. Maybe Batcher has a moment where Batcher shows up and goes, woo, 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 and all the others, join in the fight. But who else is there? Who else will join the fight from inside?
Gungi and a cavalry of Wookiees rush into Tantus to save the
Mm-hmm.
day. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This also is, I don't think it's going to happen, but because I don't know how they get the coordinates or whatever, but like just if Pabu showed up and like all of Pabu, the people of
Yeah.
Pabu.
People of Pavu. People of the world,
Yeah.
spice up your life. Yeah. Gungi and the cavalry of Wookiees Russian. That's interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that.
Oppo Rancisis.
Oppo Red Sis, this is it.
If Quinlan is already on the path, I don't think Asajj and Quinlan are going to show up. But that yeah, I would not put money on that. But that would also be cool if there was another thread of people following the bounty hunters.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Young Hera showing up. No, she's not.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just pulling from episodes I've seen. All right. Great question from Gaz. We kind of already answered this one. I'll roll through this one. Batcher survives. I hope she's with Fee. Where do you think we'll see her in the future? And the answer is clearly Endor, fighting, but in Rebel gear. I want Batcher to have a uniform there.
A little helmet. Book.
Yeah. Yeah, little helmet. Michael asks, what do you guys want to see from Wrecker for him to finish his journey? It's a great question. He has always been strong. He's always been, brave, but he's had his little fears. He's overcome a lot of it there. He's a glue character to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say he's gone again. He's changed a lot, right? He's changed a lot, but his is more of a subtle, steady, forward. And I love Wrecker as a guy, but I would love to him make a bold choice. They got to go back for someone. They got to save the kids. He's got to go in to break the like. I would love, I would love that he's gonna save the day in a way in the middle of the fight. I don't know.
Yeah, if it's like Wrecker decides to be alone in a room with 40 TK troopers and he's gonna keep going no matter what kind of thing. I think for emotionally, I mean, I think he is. They've dealt with like a lot of his fear. There was even that little bit of dialogue in the background when they were talking about they're going to have to climb the mountain, and he was groaning about it, like, he's got his heights issue, which now has to be really reinforced with tech.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's so enjoyed, it seems to me, because he is sort of beautifully childlike, of just able to put aside headier thoughts and just enjoy fun and games, and it was able to really, like, with the Mantel mix sort of tradition, and he's the one who had the stuffed animal in the first place, right? So you know what, maybe that's what I want, is him picking up that little straw version of the doll that he started back on Camino, and having a little moment of pride that the image of this doll of Lula, that the power of Lula, passed from him to Omega to this kid,
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That'd be poignant. I love that. But Wreck would just be like, it's my doll. But yeah, we could go for that. Here's one. Someone, where'd it go? Alex Cameron Smith. May not be obscure, but Senator Chuchi's activities could appear in some fashion. The Senator Chuchi of it all. The Senator Chuchi of it all. I saw some people talking about it. I think it was even brought up in our ForceCenter Discord. I really do think that episode with Chuchi and everything was kind of not just a touch in on the state of the galaxy and the state of the burgeoning rebellion. But yeah, be interesting to see if there's anything to pick up with her.
Yeah, no, because that was really beginning to try to build a little bit of bonds that would go toward the beginning of the rebellion. So that's fascinating.
Jared says the Chooch is loose. Sitcom coming this fall. Sign up on Peacock. Get 2 months free. Love that there. All right. We got about 10 more minutes more. If you got questions, we're gonna get through these ones here. Any super chats, anything like that? Now's the time. Thank you all for hanging out and listening. With sorry, this jumped up. Jared's the Chooch, as Molly Damon is acclaimed, is such a bombastic nickname for such a sweet, dignified character. That's amazing. It's amazing. Love it. Anyways, sorry, I got distracted.
Yep. The chooch is loose would be great.
The chooch
And
is loose.
medically concerning.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have not answered this one. From Jared. Finale aside, when you reflect on the Bad Batch, what made it special? What individual scene do you think will rise to the top of your mind for us, or which episode or which character arc?
I think I'm always gonna go to Crosshair. I've been such a record guy along the way, and I still am. But Crosshair and the Outpost, I can't. And I watched it again. That was the thing I watched the day or the evening of the season 3 starting. That was the final episode I watched, and it's Star Wars perfection to me.
Yeah,
there's a lot of other things. Tech racing and the Wrecker and the joy of fighting Moochie. There's so many wonderful things I'm gonna go to with this show, but the emotional gut punch of that Outpost episode, the way I just the credits rolled and I was silent in my soul. Go back to that a lot.
For me, definitely the Outpost, but also the 1-2 punch of the Solitary Clone and the Outpost, since those episodes are linked.
So
and the Solitary Outpost is the one that in season 2 is like, I love this show, but damn, this is another level of the darkness in the minimalism of the way the story was told. Like that one's way up there for me. I'm spacing on the episode title, but I think another episode and moment that is going to be huge to me is, I believe it's The Crossing, but I could be wrong, so I apologize for that. But the episode where Omega does not understand why the rest of the batch is not processing the loss of Echo the way that she is, so obviously and emotionally, and they're not getting along and they're grumping, and then they have that. Again, I think it's what the Bad Batch did, is just use environment design, use sound design to make these very simple, clear stories deeply, deeply emotive, so you feel them in your gut and they feel like your life, even though it's space fantasy. And that episode of like, we are trapped and we need to work through something, and then Omega and Tech have a catharsis and wash through the waterfall and come out on the shore, having sort of been this little bit of rebirth, and Tech just expresses this thing that I think is it's at the heart of his character, but also the heart of the value of Bad Batch, of like, I feel what you feel, but I'm different, so I express it differently. And that's not in fact a bad thing. That's maybe a great thing. That's maybe why we're an amazing team, is because we are different. That scene in that episode, I think, are going to rise to the top for me.
And be considered important stuff there. Amaranth agrees. Tech and Omega, the underground waterfall, and the crossing, followed by the Outpost.
It's unbeatable stuff there.
Yeah, the way he handled it, and then some of the sillier moments and funnier moments, and Sid did what Sid did, but I loved having Rhea Perlman in Star Wars. I think there's just so much to go on, and the way I think it handled being a tour around the galaxy at this time. That as a Star Wars fan who's loved these 19 years between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope, it was. It was not cheap to me. It was the way they did it, the way it was thematically important, and the way it was interesting. And cutting Sulu Quain, I think was great. All that kind of stuff. I think there's going to be some when I'm ready to do a rewatch or something like that, where it's going to be like I want to go around. I want to go in the galaxy this time and see it again and see as it unfolded and changed and had to change.
The cutting Sulu Quain episode has really stuck with me, and I know it's kind of parenting specific in the episode, but I think it's been very true for me to think about processing relationships with family members and friends, of like that idea that Sulu Quain kind of shares, of like, kids need to explore and they need to sometimes reach out and try to touch hot things. Your job isn't to stop them from never trying to touch a hot thing. Your job is to be there when they try to touch a hot thing. To stop them or help them. When, and I think that wisdom of sometimes the best thing is to just, hey, if you have a buddy and you think they're making a big mistake in life, maybe you can talk about them, or maybe it's just a time to be like, whatever happens, I'm here for you, is a good lesson.
I've had that with a younger friend recently. I'm going to bring something to your attention. Do with it what you will.
Yep.
I'm going to just be there for you.
Yep. Final thing I'll mention is like Ken, you were just saying we've gone on and on the entire show about it being a tour of the Empire
Yeah.
grabbing control. I do not want to diminish the power of seeing the beginning of the Stormtroopers. Like they're the TK troopers now,
Yeah.
but they're going to become the Stormtroopers. Somebody was sharing online, and I forgot that in '95, the Power of the Force Stormtrooper card has on its info back. Some believe the Stormtroopers were clones, but nobody really knows because back then it was
Right.
kind of like, they're probably clones.
Or robots.
or
Robots. Are they droids? You
or
know?
robots.
I had that.
Robots. Yeah, like my grandma said, robots. Is that a robot? But that deeply political episode where Omega's like, well, we're people, don't we have rights? And they're like, well, we're trying to get your rights, kid. You should.
Yeah.
And then to
Yeah.
see Palpatine's excellent manipulation of like, yeah, we got smoking gun evidence of the atrocities the Empire is committing, and that he has such control and power that he can spin it to blaming the clones.
Mhm.
It's a powerful political episode, and it is that like, I just watched the Stormtroopers truly be born is pretty amazing.
And that moment too of the alarm sounding Palpatine's entrance into the Senate chambers was just so breathtaking in a terrifying way. And I think I'm going to always remember that as well. And that I've always liked that this series, and it sometimes can create conversations. The whole cameo debate of season 1, which was it frustrated me, but just like that, Ventress showed up and played the part in the story that the story needed. And that Ventress needed to be there, and that this wasn't a cut back to Palpatine every week. This wasn't that, and it's hard to do that anyway. But just like when he showed up, it was valuable, and that season 2 stuff is so memorable.
Ventress episode might be up there with my favorite for season 3.
I'd agree.
I know it had a lot of baggage for a first time viewing of how much we're going to learn about Ventress. Is Quinlan Vos going to show up? Is there are going to be answers about Omega's Force ability, all that. But step back, it just was what Bad Batch does best. This beautiful, poetic, make you feel it. That scene with Asajj being like, a part of me is always going to reach out for the darkness and reach out for the beast, but I can choose to calm that if I want. Like,
Great.
It's a part of my nature, but it's not what I have to choose every time. That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's some great stuff. Love the Amaranth. It was Palpatine checkmating the whole thing and doing it with an evil smile, a flick of his wrist almost.
Yep,
Yeah.
and to follow up with Rampart, who still seems to kind of want back in. That's the other thing we haven't talked about is like a decent amount of time for this episode is going to be what does Rampart choose?
What does
and
Rampart choose?
How does Rampart try to come out on top?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you can get overwhelmed by that. There's a lot of little threads, and I get it. I get it, but I think it's going to play out wonderfully. And then continue the next week with a new series. I'm kidding. I don't know. Few questions left here. Anything jumping out to you here as we just round it up?
Well, we were just talking about old Ventress. Let's grab this one from Nick Canavan. I'm thinking the finale will focus more so on a Mega in the batch. It could lead on to a Mega meeting Ventress connected with the path and onto a new show. Any thoughts? We've talked about that, the possibility of a path show. But Ken, are you expecting any sort of, if there were a path show, if Omega was going to go off and learn with Ventress, are you feeling like that's something that would be in, the Return of the King style vignette wrap up of a final episode of Bad Batch? Or do you feel like that would be something that this is Tantis, this is Omega and her relationship with her brothers, and anything with Ventress that may or may not come in the future is for another time?
I think it's for another time. I think we could get some fade in, fade out kind of montage ending, but no matter the length of the episode, it just, to me, comes off potentially awkward if because I don't think Ventress is showing up, but I think it can't come. Not that they would, the writing team and the team they wouldn't handle it clunky, but it's not like Nick Fury. The lights come on and hey, we're gathering people for this team, the Avengers. Like that it's got to be more than that. And I would want it to have the time That I'd be okay if we don't see Ventress, we don't see a mention of that, we don't see a mention of the path. It's not going to be cute of, well, we got these kids now, what do we do? Like, it's not going to be that, but like, I'd rather have that kind of ending of we don't know, and have that pick up if you do another series, and that's episode 1. Just get right to that's episode 1 of the new series. You know, I know you want to jump in stories as late as possible, but just like then you handle the who am I, what do I do now, what do we do with these kids? You know, hey, we have a potential answer.
Yeah, because I think the kids have been pretty clear about what they want, which is to go home.
Go home.
Yeah.
Go
home. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you, Nick.
Oops, I didn't mean to hit that one. Yeah, go for it.
Can't watch tonight, but dropping into support. Thank you, SMAR F9793. Did I say that right? Yes, I did. I hope. Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to click it, but our friend Outlaw Adam Knight had also popped in to say he's not caught up on Bad Batch, so he can't watch this stream. But shout out to him when he gets around to watching it, if he does.
Douglas asked a very important question. Douglas Dubois, what will make Rampart scream? The important questions. His scream, man. His scream was all the rage this past week.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Oh man, I think any little threat to his being. His hair being messed up. If he sees himself in a mirror, he's gonna scream.
Love that. There, we got a lot of Ventress thoughts. Yeah, and Anakin asked this question here, and we got a couple more starred we want to get to, of course, before we wrap up tonight. Do you think perhaps they are going to hold off on a Return of the Jedi animated show until the New Order movie comes out and John and Dave are done with what they need to do? Yeah. In a roundabout kind of way, yeah. Whatever they've been developing for a long time. That's no secret. We've talked about that. I was saying, like, I had that panel I hosted in December. I was talking to some of the people who helped with the design and the hair and the makeup and the costumes and concept arts of Ahsoka. And one of them said, my first work on the Ahsoka show, the first concept was 2018. Like, that's how long of a lead time they got it. So I'm excited to find out what's going on. And if you started this new show a couple years ago, and then a lot of the stuff changed with Dave and John and post Return of the Jedi, like, then it seems like it might be in conflict if you're not careful.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. If there is any sort of Luke and Ben show I think it would be set far enough after the Thrawn of it all, and that conflict. But I think it's more. I think that's, to me, it feels more likely to continue to explore this era in some way.
Yeah. Indeed. All right. This has been good. We got a few non-Bad Batch ones. We'll wrap up with some Bad Batch thoughts, I'm sure. Here, let's do that. But do you see these ones here? I like this. Let's see.
Yeah.
You got one. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Go for that one.
Hey guys, one question. What is the criteria for real-world names working in Star Wars? Luke, Ben, Finn, all sound right. But something rubs me wrong about Derek Clivian or Dave Drace. I totally get this. I don't have a problem with Derek Clivian, and I love that his name is Garvin Dave Drace. That he was like, call me Dave. It's the greatest thing.
I got a cool space name, but I also make barbecue, so call me Dave.
Yeah. Come on out to the cabin this weekend. So I do love those. I think it's a mileage may vary, and you know it when you know it, or you have a problem with it. We have a problem with it. I totally get why there was probably a reason for it. I'm sure maybe they answered it, but I don't love that there's a Jedi named Douglas in High Republic.
Well, then he also has got a banging space name of Sunvale.
Yeah, that's right.
But then he's like Douglas Sunvale. Like
I'm not
he's not like
tables.
Douglas Peterson, or like Enrock Sunvale. He's
Emirates.
Douglas Sunvale.
Emirates says Tim would like a word. Yeah,
Tim Carlo. Yeah.
You just know it when you know it, and I don't mind Star Wars creators, particularly the writers, throwing in. You can tell when there's like, oh, this is the droid. It's the date of my wedding. You could just tell when an author has put something in there, and I have no problem with it because I would do the same thing. I've said, Daniel Jose Older and Buckets of Blood is not my favorite Star Wars name, but to hear him tell why, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, so, and the monkey-like creatures on Pabu being Munoz after Amanda Rose Munoz. I don't know if she chose that or somebody else did. Like, I'd put my wife's name in Star Wars if I got a chance. I don't know. I like that there are things in Star Wars that many of us as fans bump up against, but they go back to the most original of Star Wars. You know,
Yeah.
we've talked plenty about Star Wars always has some silly things. Sometimes it's got a level of broad humor that doesn't always work for me.
Yeah.
And I think going back to Ben Kenobi and Luke and Han are, those are real names, right? Leia. Um, I think it's just one of those fun things. Like, it exists in Star Wars that real world names are in Star Wars, and yet it doesn't always work. It does grind the gears. I think for me, it's I do not mind Derek Clivian, because Clivian's such a cool space name and it kind of all flows together.
Yeah.
But if Derek,
I'm with you.
if there was a Jedi named like Bob, space fan. It's not a good one. I'm trying to think of like a good like Sunvale. We'll just use Sunvale.
Sunvale.
If Rey was teaching a Jedi named Bob Sunvale, I would endure it because of Sunvale. But if half the film was her just saying, "Bob, I need to teach you more about the Force," I couldn't deal with it. As long as there's something spacey about it, right? Because it's old Ben Kenobi, right? It's Ben Solo. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's for me. It's just like, as long as the first name isn't, if we don't have to hear it too much in a space context, of like, jump into hyperspace, Ted. No,
because it becomes a Monty Python sketch, and his name is Tim. Like it's. But I get, and Amaranth points out a truth here. Amaranth says, we could all make a joke about Anakin being real world name around here, and we're looking at you, Anakin Crespin. So yeah, absolutely. We need a Star Wars character named Ken. I don't think you do. Unless it's KYN.
No, Ken would fit with the Ben tradition as long as it was, If there was like a crazy old Tatooine prospector called Cryat Ken, I'd have no problem with it.
Yes, but if it was Ken Cryat, you might.
Ken Cryat Rider, like, sure.
Yeah. Ken Benobi says Ben Shug. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Claude. Yeah. Again, I totally get it. Like I said, it's just like I've always loved Garvin Dave Drace, just because it's so specific. It's so weird in a wonderful Star Wars way.
I never even. People are talking about Claude. Because of the spelling and because of just the bizarreness of our beautiful friend Claude, never really tracked it as like, and his last name is Rains, like Claude Rains. Yeah, like it never. Yeah,
I knew a Claude. I was friends with Claude at work. He was great. I never thought of it in those terms.
You know what? I think it is just about whatever name, whatever culture you're from, and from my bias of our Western culture. If it's a name I associate with being extremely commonplace, I would have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But like Ian, which is a common, British name, but for me, growing up in America, it doesn't bother me, right? Clyde wouldn't bother me that much because it's an older world name.
Yes.
But like Ted would make me table flipping mad, but I'd be fine with Ian or Clyde. It's weird.
I know that you're right. Ian as a Jedi or something would, Ian Sunvale would just, I wouldn't think twice.
That'd Douglas, be awesome.
Douglas, for some reason, was like, no, that's not it. I'm a Douglas Adams fan. I don't get but that's amazing. It's fascinating.
Cameron Stewart says also Sheev. That guy's named Sheev.
And then there's Therm Scissor Punch exists, and it's the greatest name ever, but it's also the stupidest name ever. Like it's all that's a great question.
Yep.
All right. You want to do this final one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it indeed. All right. We are bringing in this question from Jack at Oscar Film Forecast. Don't know if you're still taking questions. We are. You got it in. Do you guys associate a specific song with some of your favorite Star Wars characters? Obviously, outside of, the music of Star Wars.
The
only one, it's because of as much as I love music, I don't think I have a boring answer. The only one is David Bowie's "Rebel Rebel," associated with Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia because of the tribute video that they did. I just can't unhear it every time. It's now the song I come up to on stage when I do stand up if I have an opportunity to pick the song. Yeah, and that just I'll never unpack those two. They're forever intertwined.
Mm-hmm. I've never really thought about this because I'm so focused on the music and music being such an essential part of who the Star Wars characters are. So I am just absolutely pulling this out of my head. But I feel like General Grievous would hit play on "Welcome to the Jungle" when he gets to Dathomir. So maybe that'll pop up in Tales of the Empire. I love some of the real reflective songs of Frank Sinatra. One of his best albums, in my opinion, is the album "In the Wee Small Hours of the Morning." If we ever do episodes where we do some DJing for one another, this is one of the albums I'll play for Ken. Okay. There's a song called "Dancing on the Ceiling," and it is about dreaming that in this context of Sinatra singing it, the woman you love is visions of her as he lies in bed, being sad that she's gone, dancing on the ceiling. So I can imagine Kenobi thinking of Satine while listening to Frank Sinatra's.
That's Kenobi season 2. Yeah, that's Kenobi season 2. That's just him. Yeah.
She dances overhead.
That's amazing. Yeah. Love that. Great question. I feel I failed the answer. I just haven't thought of it in that way. I'll dig in. I'll do homework.
The Inquisitors, Psycho Killer. Qu'est-ce qu'il say? Yep.
That's a great one. Ben says, have you ever checked out the Star Wars Spotify playlist? There's one per character meant to be those new. Oh, okay. I'll check that out.
Cool.
All right. I love it. I think we've done it. 2 hours and 45 minutes. I think that's a good Friday evening.
I'm going to go watch a cutscene of Raylo and "I Will Always Love You." That's what I'm going to do when we're done.
I love it. Oscar Film Forecast says, we're all good. I hadn't either until I saw some Padme edit set to Taylor Swift.
Oh, my God. I really like her. "I'm Dressing for Revenge." That's a good Asajj Ventress song.
There you go. And all the Last Jedi supercuts of the Rey Kylo throne room scene that were done to different Led Zeppelin and everything, those are great as well. Great. Love it. Thank you all for listening. Our review of the finale will be up Wednesday afternoon. We're excited. We can't wait to get to that. A lot of cool things. Like I said earlier, thanks to Gentle Giant for providing us these excellent collectibles here. And Jen's review of her 2 Ewoks will be over the weekend. There you go. Elzier says, love you. No, I love you. I love you, man.
We will always love you.
Always love you. That is it. All right. Should we go home? Should we get out of here? Yeah. What should we do? How does this end? I don't know what to do. All right. Thanks for listening to ForceCenter. We'll be back very soon.